You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 438, Battle 1. Chapter 438, Chapter 123 Battle 1. September 20th. Su Yu took a leave of absence again. Jing Yunhui also took a leave of absence that day. Both of them did not come. Not only them, but there were also a few people missing from the class. There were not many people in the Yingxin district. There was a cultivation dojo here. It was opened by an old instructor. Usually, there were not many people, so it was quiet. Today, some people came to this hall one after another. The old instructor was old, so he didn't invite anyone. Today, when he was about to move a chair out to bask in the sun, someone came. "Old Chen, there's no one on the third floor, right?" The old instructor looked at the person in front of him and was slightly stunned. After a long while, he recognized the person and hurriedly said, "Director Zhou, why are you here?" Zhou Pingxing smiled faintly and said, "Come and take a look. There will be a student competition here later. Don't say that we're here, understand?" I know. The old instructor hurriedly nodded. "Then we'll go up first. You can just stay downstairs." "Okay." The old instructor didn't dare to say anything. This was a big shot, and it wasn't something that an old student like him who didn't have any free time could compare to. A Ling Yun realm powerhouse. It was his honor to be able to come to his place, so he did not dare to ask any more questions. He did not care about the student competition. He was just a little curious. Could it be that he was Director Zhou's student? It had been too long since he had asked about the matters of the academy, so he was not too clear about it. He could not be bothered about these things. After staying in the academy for so many years, he still knew what he should not ask. Not long after Zhou Pingxing and Xia Huyo went up, another person came. Xia Huyo came with a middle-aged man and looked around. Xia Huyo looked at the middle-aged man and said, "Uncle, this is the place." The middle-aged man nodded slightly and didn't say anything. Xia Huyo went forward and found the old instructor. He smiled and said, "Old man, are there any vacant rooms on the third floor?" The old instructor did not look at him. He looked at the middle-aged man and his expression changed slightly. Without greeting him, he hurriedly said, "Yes." "But..." The middle-aged man suddenly said, "It's all right. Let's go up. We'll see what we can do." Xia Huyo's eyes moved slightly. He smiled and did not say anything else. It seemed that someone had arrived ahead of time. The two went upstairs. The old instructor secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Why did he feel that something was going to happen? This person had actually come as well. On the third floor. In a large cultivation room, Zhou Pingxing frowned slightly. Lu Hong's eyes flickered as he said, "Senior brother. Ignore them." After saying this, Zhou Pingxing snorted coldly. "This is the Institute of Civilization, not the Xia Trading Company." Lu Hong didn't say anything else. Lowering his head, his eyes flickered again. This was getting more and more interesting. He did not know if Bai Feng and Qin Yong had gotten involved. These two brats, are they instigated by someone, or did they come up with this idea on their own? He could roughly judge that this was a trap. Of course, he would know whether it was a trap or not later. Because of a piece of heaven-shattering killing intent, not only did the blood essence of the gods and demons appear, even the core information of the Wentan Research Center was obtained. This was truly beyond his expectations. These two fellows were really audacious. Those blood essence of the gods and demons, together with this information, would probably be worth more than 100,000 merit points. It wasn't even time to fly, yet they were already so troublesome. Glancing at Zhou Pingxing from the corner of his eyes, Lu Hong secretly took a breath. Forget it, regardless of whether it was true or not, what he had to do later was to Stop the transaction. In any case, I don't want to get involved. If I can make a profit, I'll make a profit. If I can't, then forget it. In any case, I have to stop him. I'll do my best to stop him. Based on his understanding of Zhou Pingsheng, this fellow was extremely conceited. Once he confirmed that it was true, he would definitely complete the transaction. On top of that, he would berate Zhou Pingsheng and even ostracize him. It doesn't matter. It would be best for this fellow to erase all of his contributions when he reports this matter to the higher-ups. In any case, even if he contributed, it wouldn't be of much use. For Zhou Pingsheng to receive the news so quickly, he had Lu Hong to thank for that. If not for him helping Jing Yunhui to collect items in the black market, the rumors that Jing Yunhui had spread would be of no use. Who would take him seriously? The Xia family has also sent someone. Lu Hong thought to himself. Perhaps, he could make a fortune this time. In a tea house opposite the dojo. At this moment, in a tea house on top of the tea house, Chen Yong was drinking tea. He looked at the opposite side, deep in thought. At the side of the dojo. In a restaurant, Jia Mingzhen and the others were eating while laughing and chatting. Watching a show, watching a big show. Tell me, are the things that Suyu brought real or fake? Who knows? Guess how many people are watching nearby now? No less. An elder of a female pavilion on the table laughed. The news of the black market has spread. I even suspect that the few outside have received the news. The other academies, the military, the Myriad Clan Church, even a few old ghosts from the Myriad Clan Academy might know about it. Jia Mingzhen's mouth was covered in grease from eating. He wiped his mouth and said with a smile, I don't care about them. I'm thinking, has an old fellow arrived yet? It's hard to say. The few of them laughed. He's here. Don't tell me he's planning to take them all down in one go. Jia Mingzhen chuckled and said, it's hard to say. If the thing is real, I suspect that he will appear. If it's fake, then it might not be the case. Is there really anything that can be hidden from him in the academy? Even we have received the news, not to mention this fellow. This old fellow probably has many spies in the academy. As he spoke, Jia Mingzhen said with slight hesitation, I feel that there is still a mastermind behind this matter. From what I see, Zheng family's kids' intentions are limited to just a few families. He is practically eyeing those from the single divine script department. In the end, Lu Hong, this kid, helped him gather resources. Is he really unable to produce them, or does he have no choice but to find someone else to purchase them? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 439, Battle, 2. Chapter 439, Chapter 123 Battle, 2. Who knows? The few of them chatted for a while before someone suddenly said, he's here. Everyone looked down and saw Jing Yunhui, who was walking like a dragon and a tiger. At this moment, Jing Yunhui was striding forward with a long saber on his back. He was a descendant of a warrior family. Regardless of whether or not he had a civil soldier, a martial soldier was indispensable. The eighth layer of the Thousand June realm. Jia Mingzhen's eyes moved slightly. Good kid, looks like the top 100 rankings will be up next month. After saying that, his eyes suddenly lit up. He has those things on him, right? The moment these words were said, the other people also became interested. They all laughed and said, I have a feeling that it should be because he has really put in a lot of money. I don't know if old man Jing knows, but if this kid really loses, go back and wait for the Jing family to mix and fight. 10 drops of Lingyun Realm Celestial Blood Essence. Jia Mingzhen sighed and said, it's a pity that it's not Mountain Sea Realm. Otherwise, even I would be tempted. How many drops did he bring out? I'm not sure, it should be quite a lot. Maybe he brought all of them out. Lingyun realm is not bad. Celestial beings are hard to kill. Even if we kill them, we might not be able to bring back the blood essence. It's a pity that it's not the primordial blood essence. Otherwise, even if it's Lingyun realm, I would want to get involved. The few of them chatted. After a while, Zheng Yunhui entered the dojo. After a while, Suyu arrived. He hasn't reached the 6th stage yet. Today, the few of them had come prepared. At this moment, no one was observing them, so they were much more relaxed. A pavilion elder had some unknown means to investigate them. He smiled and said, "Not weak. This kid has improved so fast. No wonder he has the confidence." After saying that, he paused and said, "If he brings fake ones, we will be disappointed. If he brings real ones." This pavilion elder paused for a moment and said in a low voice, "Then I will be even more disappointed." Genius, evildoer. It was very important. But sometimes, character and character were more important. Suyu dared to steal the core information of the Wentan Research Center. Such a person, no matter how talented he was not worth nurturing. Even if Hong Tan and the others did not pursue the matter, the academy would not be able to nurture such a person. Once such a person was strong, who knew what would happen? Jia Mingjun also nodded and sighed. I hope it's fake, but if it's fake, it won't be able to hide from those guys. The few of them did not speak anymore. At this moment, their emotions were somewhat complicated. Fake. That Suyu had played everyone once. Everyone had come to see the real thing. If it was real, then Suyu would be crippled. Regardless of whether he won or lost, he dared to use the real information to gamble. This was not something that belonged to him. This was the hard work of Hong Tan and the others for decades. How could such a person be trained? Could it be that Bai Feng and the others ordered him? Someone suddenly asked. Impossible. Just those two blockheads. Bai Feng only knows how to kill and kill. Chen Yong only knows how to endure and endure. Hong Tan is not in the academy. Where did these two get the courage to do such a thing? That's true. The room fell silent once more. None of them spoke anymore. A moment later, everyone looked at Jia Mingjun. Jia Mingjun smiled, and a divine artifact appeared. In the next moment, the divine artifact turned into a screen. We have to avoid Zhou Pingsheng and the others. As Jia Mingjun spoke, another divine artifact appeared, wrapping around the screen, and no aura spread out. Another pavilion elder also flew out a divine symbol. Track. As soon as he said this, the divine symbol disappeared. In the blink of an eye, images appeared on Jia Mingjun's mirror. The only female pavilion elder laughed. I'll come too. The sound of her voice was also the disappearance of a divine symbol. Following that, the images on the screen had a sound. Tracking, listening, probing. The pavilion elders each displayed their abilities. Following that, someone sighed, the few of us aren't the type to do such a thing. We don't have too many of these probing-type divine texts. It took a few people working together to create this thing. Jia Mingjun said indifferently, it's not like we rely on this for a living. It's normal. If you like to pry, then outline more of these divine texts. I don't have that much energy to outline these things. On their side, they were already prepared to watch a big show. On the 3rd floor of the dojo. The old instructor went upstairs again. He awkwardly brought out a machine and opened it in front of Lu Hong and Zhou Pingsheng. A moment later, the image of the room on the 2nd floor was projected on the wall. Lu Hong and Zhou Pingsheng were not surprised at all. This was how the dojo was. Especially in a dojo that provided sparring grounds, there would definitely be video recordings circulating. Some people were doing it for their own use, while others were doing it to sell information. Therefore, the two of them did not plan to investigate on their own. When cultivators sparred, there would be video recordings circulating, which could also add some experience to the bystanders. Director Zhou, Assistant Instructor Lu, then I'll go out first. The old instructor was a little flustered. The people next door were still waiting. Go. Zhou Pingxing replied indifferently. The old instructor felt as if he had been pardoned and hurriedly left. After he left, Lu Hong looked at the two people who appeared in the projection in front of him and said with a smile, "Senior brother, who do you think will win?" Zheng Yunhui. Zhou Pingxing said calmly, "He will win if he can beat him, but he will win if he can't beat him." Senior brother. Lu Hong frowned and said, "Are we going to intervene?" Not intervene, but we must get that thing. Zhou Pingxing said solemnly, "In Su Yu's hands, he won't sell it. If we really take it away, he will say that we will snatch it by force. That would be a huge trouble. Only when it is in Zheng Yunhui's hands will we be able to get it. Junior brother Lu, you know what I mean. This is also what senior brother Zheng wants." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 440, Battle 3. Chapter 440, Chapter 123 Battle. After saying that, he smiled and said, "Don't worry, even if we lose. Zheng Yunhui is too useless. He is a direct descendant of the Zheng family after all, he won't be that weak." Lu Hong didn't say anything more. If he really wanted to interfere, even if a 7th-level Lingyun expert interfered in the battle in the air, the two of them probably wouldn't be able to feel it. On the second floor, in a large room, Su Yu and Zheng Yunhui had both arrived. They were at daggers drawn. When the two of them met, their smiles disappeared. Zheng Yunhui said coldly, "Where's the item?" Su Yu threw down a package, revealing the will of Heaven Splitter. There was also a jade pendant. When Zheng Yunhui saw the jade pendant, his expression changed. "It's in here." "Yes, do you recognize this thing?" Su Yu said indifferently, "It's a temporary divine talisman specially used to record precious documents. The kind that can carry a password. You can only open it if I give you the password. Otherwise, you can break through it forcefully and break it directly. Zheng Yunhui, don't have any devious ideas." Zheng Yunhui frowned. "Then how do I know if it's true or not?" "I'll tell you later." As he said that, Su Yu's gaze turned cold. "I've brought my things." "Where are your things?" "Humph." Zheng Yunhui took out a golden bottle from his bosom. The bottle was not big, but it was flickering with golden light. "Watch carefully." As he finished speaking, he opened the bottle cap. A drop of blood essence suddenly rushed out. Zheng Yunhui was already prepared. His willpower burst out. With a soft sound, the blood essence was suppressed back. In the next moment, he closed the cap. See? Protoss blood essence. Even if it turns into blood essence, it still has some self-awareness. Su Yu felt the surging power of the blood essence. He looked at the bottle with a burning gaze. "How much?" 5 drops. Su Yu's expression changed. "We agreed on 8 drops. Zheng Yunhui said somewhat angrily, "How can it be worth that much?" "I've asked, it's at most worth 5 drops of blood essence. Moreover, 10 drops of blood essence are divided into 2 bottles. I can only take 1. If I take 2, I'll definitely be discovered. You cut the crap. If I lose, I will compensate you with another 2,000 merit points. Do you have any?" "Humph." Zheng Yunhui said coldly, "No, I will give you the 2 opportunities of the mystic realm that the Academy has rewarded me with." "Really?" "Nonsense." Zheng Yunhui said impatiently, "You have confirmed the authenticity of my item. What about yours?" Su Yu smiled and did not care. He threw the temporary recording talisman to him and said, "Keep it for now. If I lose, I'll tell you the password. After the battle, I'll show you the content. You prepare some materials, and I'll produce the innate blood essence for you on the spot. It's clear at a glance whether it's real or fake. Suyu said calmly, if it's fake, you can publicize it to the public. In the future, Suyu, can forget about staying in the academy. Jing Yunhui frowned and said, this is a private matter. The academy will not interfere. Don't try to fool me like this. If it's fake, then didn't I prepare for so long for nothing? Suyu, don't fool me. Either you prove that this thing is real now, or, you return the heaven-cleaving strike to me and settle the matter. Suyu frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, you don't trust me? Of course. Suyu frowned and said, I don't trust you either. Now that you've seen some information, if you lose, won't I be showing you nothing? Then, Suyu pondered for a moment and said, how about this, you get the owner here to buy some basic materials and buy a few more. The more, the better. Since you're willing to spend money, I don't care. Don't even think about deducing the formula from these materials. If you win, I'll immediately give you the talent essence blood after the competition ends. If you don't succeed, I won't say anything if you seriously injure me on the spot. For me, I'll be seriously injured for a few months or even a year. Do you think I'll do such a thing? Suyu said seriously, if you still don't believe me, then I can't do anything about it. Anyway, I won't give you the formula on the spot at this moment. Jing Yunhui hesitated for a moment and nodded. He walked out of the door and called for the old instructor. Suyu didn't waste any time. He borrowed a piece of paper and a pen and wrote a long list. There was blood essence, pills, heavenly and earthly treasures, and ores. In total, he wrote nearly 100 things. The old instructor was old and knowledgeable. After some calculations, he said in surprise, you want to buy these things? At least 300 merit points or more. Suyu looked at Jing Yunhui. Jing Yunhui cursed in his heart. Damn it, this kid deliberately set him up. He was not a human. However, Suyu obviously would not pay this money. Jing Yunhui had to prove that this thing was real before he dared to accept it. At this moment, he could not afford not to pay. Gritting his teeth, he gave the old instructor 300 merit points. He smiled and said, if it's not enough, I'll give it to you when I come back. Okay. The old instructor didn't say much. These two people had attracted quite a number of people today. After he left, Jing Yunhui looked at Suyu again. He secretly speculated that this guy could really concoct something. Or was he asking him to cooperate? Forget it, forget it. I'll act according to the circumstances. On the third floor. Zhou Pingsheng's eyes moved. He looked at Lu Hong, who nodded. I'll go and buy the materials for him. I'll remember the things on the note. Use all the materials we provided. Whether it's real or fake, Suyu has clearly lost. N. Zhou Pingsheng nodded and said, don't give Suyu a loophole. When he loses, keep an eye on him. If he can really concoct the blood essence talent. Zhou Pingsheng's eyes lit up. That would be a huge profit. 50,000 merit points was nothing. It's best not to let the Xia family get this list. Be careful that they deduce it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 441, Battle 4. Chapter 441, Chapter 123 Battle 4. When he said this, his expression changed slightly. Outside, the middle-aged man from the Xia family had already stopped the old coach. The middle-aged man held the list in his hand, and when he took a look, his face turned purple. Don't tease me. This can be used to concoct innate blood essence. What the heck? There were ores used to forge weapons, and all kinds of blood essence. There were thousands of tons and tens of thousands of stones, and there were several kinds of heavenly treasures produced in the heavenly battlefield, which were not considered too precious. There were also some daily necessities, such as soy sauce. Did your family run a grocery store? There were more than 100 things, but they were all wrong. If anyone could deduce the formula, he would lick that person's shoes. The middle-aged man glanced at it and turned around to leave. It was better to wait for the result. It would be a waste to look at this list. This brat surnamed Su was very cunning. On the second floor, in a room, Su Yu took off his long robe and changed into a short fight. He was holding a yellow rank standard knife. Jing Yunhui did not change his clothes. When he saw Su Yu change his clothes, he sneered, "You're not my match even if you strip naked. I'll give you a chance. Take the blood essence now and see if you can hurt me." Su Yu ignored him and let out a light sigh. A moment later, he looked at him and said, "Shall we start now?" "Up to you." Jing Yunhui said with a sneer, "You are at the critical mass, right? Do you think I don't know? You sure talk a lot of nonsense." With that said, a cold glint flashed. Whing! The saber descended. Su Yu, who was at the critical mass, did not hide anything. His yuan qi erupted as he slashed down. Weak! Jing Yunhui was just about to sneer when his vision turned dark. Ha! Jing Yunhui did not have time to think. With a roar, his willpower burst out, and the divine runes exploded. With a boom, the illusion shattered. And at this moment, a small knife broke through the air. Jing Yunhui felt a chill in his heart, and he felt a chill in his throat. He leaned back and slashed the knife, and a small sword appeared. An instant reaction. From this, it could be seen that Jing Yunhui had experience in fighting. He had truly fought with people to the death. With a bang, Jing Yunhui fell to the ground and rolled on the ground. Bang! Sparks flew in all directions on the solid ground. Su Yu slashed down with his knife, and gravel flew everywhere. A bloody scar appeared on Jing Yunhui's throat, and his face was also broken by the gravel. He was covered in wounds. Su Yu instantly had the advantage, and he did not show any mercy. The throwing knives shot out, and his killing intent exploded. Fight! Kill! The flying knife was extremely fast. Jing Yunhui also roared in anger. He slapped the ground with one hand and rose into the air. His right hand wielded the knife and slashed the flying knife apart. The civil soldiers charged toward Su Yu at the same time. Kill! Killing intent exploded. Divine slaughtering script. The small sword broke through the air and came at Su Yu. Su Yu's willpower burst out, but the small sword broke through one after another. The thunder, divine script was instantly activated. With a rumble, lightning struck the small sword. Pooh! The small sword deviated, but it cut across Su Yu's cheek. A bloody scar appeared, and fresh blood flowed out. On the other side, Jing Yunhui sent Su Yu's knife flying. He took a few steps back and extended his hand. The small sword returned, and he looked at Su Yu with a grave expression. He nearly capsized in the gutter. The critical mass. How could this fellow have the appearance of the critical mass? In the instant the two exchanged blows, bloody scars appeared on their bodies. Jing Yunhui's throat was almost cut open. With a grave expression, he gritted his teeth and said, "You want to kill me? Go all out. I'm going to attack a divine scribe." Su Yu's reply was straightforward. "I'm only responsible for killing." Before he could finish his sentence, Su Yu's flying dagger erupted with killing intent once again. Lightning fused into it, and the illusion appeared once again. Scram! A violent roar sounded out, and sound waves rippled. Jing Yunhui once again erupted with a divine scribe, and it was related to sound attacks. The illusion shattered once again. Su Yu only felt agitated. His eardrums vibrated, and a faint red flash appeared in his ears. His eardrums were bleeding. Buzz! After breaking through Su Yu's illusion, Zheng Yunhui ignored the thunder and his body suddenly became stronger. Kill! Zheng Yunhui held the knife with both hands and jumped in the air, pouncing towards Su Yu. Bang bang bang! The thunder flashed on his body and his clothes were instantly burnt yellow by the electricity. His skin was chapped and blood spilled everywhere. Zheng Yunhui's expression was firm. He might not be stronger than Su Yu in terms of fighting spirit and willpower. The only way was to be a fighter. He was definitely stronger than Su Yu. Get close and kill him. The long blade slashed down, and Su Yu hurriedly retreated. Behind him was a wall. Su Yu's gaze was solemn, but he did not panic. In the next moment, a light flashed on the yellow rank weapon. Fight! Su Yu's fighting spirit surged, and his aura was shocking. Take life! The second move of Heaven-Cleaving Massacre slashed out. With a rumble, this standard blade that could be used to the 10,000 stone realm was directly shattered, and countless blades flew out. Poochie! 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 Sound after sound entered one's body. Zheng Yunhui's body was covered in blood, and he was like a mad demon. With a painful roar, the long saber fell. Boom! A huge hole was cut in the wall, and Su Yu was panting heavily. He spat out blood and rolled a few rounds on the ground. He retreated to the side, and a hole was torn in his chest. Su Yu quickly tore off a piece of clothing and wrapped it around the wound on his chest. He kept retreating and called back his soldiers. On the other side, Zheng Yunhui was also panting heavily. He looked at Su Yu with reddened eyes. Good job, Su Yu. I'm completely interested in you. His entire body was covered in blood like a bloody man. However, his muscles squirmed as pieces of blades were squeezed out by his muscles. They fell to the ground with crisp sounds. Is that all? Zheng Yunhui sneered and said, devour the essence blood, or else. I'll chop you to death later. Su Yu ignored him and directly swallowed a drop of Yuan Qi liquid as he panted heavily. He laughed when he saw that he was covered in blood. At the next moment, the flying knife shot out once again. Zheng Yunhui roared angrily as the long knife exploded with a resplendent light. At the same time, a flying sword flew straight for Su Yu's head. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 442, Battle, 5. Chapter 442, Chapter 123 Battle, 5. The two of them sparred, but they were serious. Every move was fatal. Su Yu stepped on the ground and rose into the air. He kicked the wall and shot out, dodging the flying sword's pursuit. At this moment, Zheng Yunhui burst out with tremendous strength. He split the flying sword with his saber, but he felt a chill all over his body. In the next moment, the wound that was healing just now suddenly burst open. Blood splattered out and was absorbed by Su Yu's flying knife. Damn it! Blood-sucking. At this moment, his blood was flowing non-stop. He immediately let out a wild shout as his willpower burst forth. A divine text flashed once again in his sea of will. His willpower was greatly exhausted. In the blink of an eye, all his wounds were instantly healed. Zheng Yunhui's face was also pale as he looked at Su Yu angrily. Su Yu's expression changed slightly. He was somewhat surprised. Healing divine runes? Humph. Zheng Yunhui snorted coldly. The 3 divine runes had all been exposed. Slaughter, sound waves, healing. As for Su Yu, he had also displayed all sorts of characteristics, causing him great trouble. These two fellows. At this moment, the spectating experts were also slightly shocked. They really didn't care about their lives anymore. It was just a sparring match, and these two really treated it as a life-and-death battle. A life-and-death battle, a life-and-death battle of 10,000 rocks. I'm afraid they're already close to the strength of the top 100, those ranked below 90 might not even be able to compare to them. Just as these people were thinking, the scene in the arena changed again. Su Yu recalled his flying knife, and the flying knife instantly expanded to become the size of a normal long knife. For divine runes simultaneously attached themselves to the flying knife. Fuse! Su Yu shouted in a low voice, and a few divine runes forcefully fused together, causing the flying knife to tremble. On the other side, Jing Yunhui roared, and his body expanded once again. On his body, light spots flickered in his acupuncture points. Su Yu's knife hacked down. Seeing that Jing Yunhui was about to raise his knife to meet the attack, the next moment, his body suddenly flashed with a ray of light, and there was a loud bang. Jing Yunhui flew backward and rolled a few times on the ground. He instantly stood up and laughed, "You're dead meat, idiot. Why should I take it head on?" Divine Talisman. At this moment, a broken divine talisman fell to the ground from Jing Yunhui's body. It was broken. Su Yu's face was pale and his eyes were cold. He was cursing in his heart. Bastard! Damn it, you really used a divine talisman. You're dead. Jing Yunhui jumped up and laughed loudly. He charged toward Su Yu again. At this moment, Su Yu did not say anything more. He bit the iron-winged bird essence blood in his mouth. His hands formed claws and he shouted. His hands were extremely fast. He grabbed the back of the knife with his left hand. Instantly, blood flowed out from his hand and his right hand grabbed out. With a PFFT sound, a piece of flesh on Jing Yunhui's chest was grabbed by him. Blood flowed out again like a bloody person. Ah! Jing Yunhui cried out in pain. He gave a side kick and with a bang, Su Yu was sent flying. His waist was in extreme pain and his bones were broken. Bastard! Jing Yunhui retreated one after another and looked at the wound on his chest. A piece of flesh was directly scratched off by Su Yu. At this moment, one could already see the stained sternum. As for Su Yu, his face was pale. Both of his hands were covered in blood, and his waist was also soaked in fresh blood. Let's see how long you can last. Jing Yunhui shouted coldly and no longer got close to him. His flying sword flew out, and Su Yu's long saber also flew out at the same time. One saber and one sword continuously clashed in the air. Thunder, sound waves, killing intent, battle intent. They were all mixed together. A moment later, Jing Yunhui withdrew his literary weapon, and his face was completely red. At this moment, many wounds appeared on his small sword. Looking at Su Yu, he couldn't help but curse, "Where did you get this? Was this a yellow-grade literary soldier?" Su Yu ignored him. His willpower had been greatly exhausted, and Jing Yunhui wasn't any better. He no longer cared about Su Yu, and the divine runes erupted once again. The wound on his chest began to heal again, but at an extremely slow speed. Jing Yunhui panted and smiled. "You've almost exhausted yourself. Without the help of the divine runes, are you going to fight me?" "You try." Su Yu replied in a muffled voice. His movements were a little inconvenient. Jing Yunhui could recover from his injuries quickly, but he could not. "Then try. I'll let you have a taste of my Jing family's specialty." Roar! Jing Yunhui roared, and his height soared again. Previously, he was only about 1.8 meters, but after a few times of expansion, he was now close to 2 meters. Holding the long saber, Jing Yunhui pressed forward with incomparable ferocity, charging straight at Su Yu. With a bang, the saber sent Su Yu's long saber flying. He swung the saber again, breaking the weapon rack blocking in front of him. With another saber, Su Yu, who had exploded with his battle strength of 10,000 stones, held his long saber tightly with both hands in claws. He raised his knee and hit Jing Yunhui's crotch. "Ha ha ha, I can see it. Jing Yunhui laughed loudly and raised his knee at the same time. With a bang, Su Yu felt that his knee was about to shatter. While Jing Yunhui's face twitched, he sneered and said, "You only have 10,000 stone combat strength with both hands. Your innate skill is only a so-so." Su Yu's knee strike did not have 10,000 stone combat strength. Jing Yunhui had already felt the flaws in the few exchanges, and instantly heavily injured Su Yu. Su Yu retreated and limped. Jing Yunhui once again charged over with his saber in hand. "There are too many weaknesses. Su Yu, it seems that this is the end of you." Buzz. The long saber descended once more and slashed towards Su Yu. His vision blurred slightly. Jing Yunhui did not have time to think too much. He suddenly felt a little terrified. Was he dead? His saber had shattered Su Yu. Was he dead? No, the feeling was not right. He hurriedly retreated and used all his willpower to burst out again. This time, it was the illusion as one. Behind his head, cold air exploded. Ha! With another explosive shout, Jing Yunhui stepped on the ground and quickly rose into the air. With a bang, his back was hit. Jing Yunhui's blood spilled from his mouth, his internal organs were shaking, and his back was in severe pain. Turning his head, at this moment, the illusion dissipated. Su Yu's face was as pale as a ghost. He half knelt on the ground and said with a chuckle, "Isn't it great?" "Impossible." Jing Yunhui was shocked. "When did you create the illusion?" "My willpower is stronger than yours. Why can't it be shattered?" "Impossible." At that moment, the same voice sounded from the other places. Jing Yunhui had been deceived by Su Yu's illusion. He had actually been tricked by Su Yu and had severely injured Jing Yunhui with one strike. Jing Yunhui's willpower had accumulated to over 85%, and he was also consciously on guard. How could he have been so easily ambushed by Su Yu? Tier 2 Divine Prose. This difficult word came out from the mouths of Jia Mingjin and the other pavilion elders. Their faces were filled with disbelief. However, they felt that other than this explanation, there was no other way to explain why Su Yu was able to confuse Jing Yunhui even when Jing Yunhui was on guard. His willpower was not as good as Jing Yunhui's, so he could only be suppressed by the divine text level. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 443, The Reader is Sad, The Listener Weeps. Monthly Votes, 1. Chapter 443, Chapter 124. The Reader is Sad, The Listener Weeps. Monthly Votes, 1. On the second floor of the dojo. The ground was broken, and the walls were broken. Jing Yunhui's blood kept gushing out of his mouth, and his internal organs were severely injured. He was somewhat in disbelief and somewhat furious. He was a monstrous genius. The strongest successor of the Zheng family in this generation. He had thought that he might lose, to Xia Chan, to Wan Mingze. Of course, he was confident that he had a higher chance of winning. Today, when he fought with a guy who was at the critical mass, he actually lost. Su Yu. Looking at Su Yu, who finally smiled, Jing Yunhui struggled to stand up. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He smiled and said, "Do you think that you will win for sure?" Su Yu panted and revealed a smile. "I don't think so. I'm not afraid of you turning the tables. I just want to say that the critical mass is just a so-so. Just a so-so. Just a so-so." These words echoed in Jing Yunhui's ears. Critical mass. It was 3 levels higher than him. Jing Yunhui gritted his teeth. "That's right, the critical mass was just a so-so. You're right. But, today, I'm going to win." Jing Yunhui roared softly. He was going to win. If it was impossible to defeat the weak with the strong, how was he, Jing Yunhui, going to compete with the freaks of this era? Su Yu. Do you think you will win for sure? Jing Yunhui growled as Yuan Qi gathered around him. All the acupuncture points in his body flickered with light. At the critical mass, 96 acupuncture points were lit up. He had just entered the critical mass. But at that moment, the 96 light spots on his body were not enough. In the next moment, some of the dark acupuncture points began to glow. With a flash of red, Zheng Yunhui's face turned red. Bang bang bang. The sound of his heart beating could be heard in the cultivation room. Su Yu, do you think that you will win for sure? Zheng Yunhui walked towards Su Yu. One step, one aperture lit up, the unopened apertures. 2 steps, 2 apertures opened. Do you think that the people of the Zheng family will admit defeat so easily? 3 apertures opened. Do you think that the sons of wealthy families only know how to muddle along and wait for death? 4 apertures were opened. At this moment, those experts who were watching the battle indifferently no longer had any intention of belittling them. The 2 evildoers had fought with the strength of 10,000 stones. At this moment, the battle was not over, but it was still escalating. Zheng Yunhui, that brat. Jia Mingzhen could not help but curse in a low voice, his competitive spirit is too strong. He actually used a secret technique to temporarily open his apertures. Even if he wins, he still has to recuperate for several months. Beside him, the female pavilion elder said in a soft voice, I'm more concerned about this little fellow Su Yu. He forced Zheng Yunhui to use a secret technique. Can Xie Chan and Wan Mingze defeat him? The moment these words were said, the few of them fell silent. There were really a lot of evildoers in this batch. Each and every one of them, at such a young age, actually possessed the battle strength of 10,000 stones. This was especially so for Su Yu, whose improvement was unexpected. On the 3rd floor. The middle-aged man from the Xia family had a solemn expression on his face as he turned his head to look at Xia Huyo. These 2 brats are your formidable opponents. No. Xia Huyo smiled and said, they are friends and partners. Good partners in business. I like them. Only when they are strong will it be interesting. A strong person doing business is a big business. I especially like them. The middle-aged man could not help but laugh as he said, Huyo, do you think Chan can defeat them? Not now. Xia Huyu said straightforwardly, even if we use the heaven-splitting blade, it won't work. Xia Chan hasn't experienced many battles to the death. She always feels that sparring is sparring and killing is killing. When she meets these 2 guys, the slightest hesitation will cause Xia Chan to be seriously injured. The middle-aged man nodded slightly. That's right. Xia Chan had seen blood before, but Xia Chan was a woman after all. She was more or less indecisive and was not as ruthless as these 2 guys. Life and death were decided upon the moment they met. Those who did not know would think that it was a life and death battle, but in reality, it was really just a sparring match. Ruthless. On the other side. Zhou Pingsheng had been silent the entire time. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and said, Su Yu, you must suppress him. You must. Lu Hong nodded slightly. Zhou Pingsheng said coldly, it's only been a little over a month since he entered the school, and this kid actually almost defeated Zheng Yunhui. Looking at the screen, Zheng Yunhui's aura was getting stronger and stronger. He was about to reach the critical juncture. He was on guard, but at the same time, he felt a little more at ease. The Zheng family kid used a secret technique. He was definitely going to win. Su Yu was already at the end of his rope. At this moment, even Lu Hong was doubting himself. Am I wrong? The reason why Su Yu dared to accept the challenge was because of his Tier 2 divine runes, so he had the confidence to win. Am I wrong? Is the thing real? He began to doubt his own judgment. Previously, he had thought that Su Yu could not possibly win, but reality proved that Su Yu had almost won. Of course, from the looks of it now, he was definitely going to lose. Su Yu's injuries were not light. His waist, chest, and legs were all injured. His yuan qi had been exhausted, and his willpower had been exhausted. Using the Tier 2 divine runes had expended a huge amount of energy. He was already somewhat powerless since he was unable to defeat Jing Yunhui. Especially at this moment, Jing Yunhui had opened his eyes and reached the critical juncture. He did not seem to be able to do anything. Su Yu looked at Jing Yunhui, who was getting closer and closer, and smiled. Jing Yunhui frowned and still smiled. "Bastard, you said that you would admit defeat, yet you still dare to laugh after beating me up so badly. I won't kill you with my hammer. My injuries and backlash this time will probably take me a long time to recover. I won't let you take advantage of me." Su Yu didn't bother with him. The small saber appeared and instantly enlarged, turning into a long saber. "You are really tough." Su Yu laughed. In the next moment, lightning flashed on the long saber. Lightning movement. With a low shout, the lightning character exploded with a resplendent light. The long blade flew out. Thunder blade. The vitality in the other acupuncture points had been exhausted, but Su Yu had opened another acupuncture point which belonged to Thunder Blade. "Willpower, do you think I have exhausted it?" You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 444, The Reader is Sad, and the Listener Weeps Monthly Votes, 2. Chapter 444, Chapter 124, The Reader is Sad, and the Listener Weeps Monthly Votes, 2. What a joke. The lightning character divine text paired with the lightning origin saber was a perfect match. At this moment, this saber strike came out of nowhere. A lightning strike. Jing Yunhui was shocked and furious. With a roar, his yuan qi burst forth as he raised his saber and slashed horizontally. Boom! With a loud bang, Jing Yunhui turned into a charred person in the blink of an eye. The martial weapon he had been using was creaking and showing signs of shattering. At the same time, Su Yu's broken palm was shining again. The activation of blood essence was not just a short period of time. Enduring the pain of his palm being torn apart, Su Yu used his injured feet to push off the ground and pounced on Jing Yunhui. "Get lost!" Jing Yunhui was furious and threw out a blade-throwing fist at Su Yu. Bang! The fists and claws collided. Su Yu's hands formed into claws and clawed at his fists, causing his flesh and blood to fly everywhere. Bang! Jing Yunhui roared and threw a punch. Ignoring his injuries, he sent Su Yu flying. His sternum cracked and broke. Su Yu was sent flying and fell to the ground. Blood gushed out from his mouth. Jing Yunhui was also half kneeling on the ground, panting heavily. F***ck, you, can still fight. He was also about to collapse. At this time, you can still fight? What's your situation? Su Yu's chest heaved up and down, proving that he was still alive. A moment later, he struggled to get up again, grinning. Pfft. Jing Yunhui. I can fight more than you. Imagine. Whine. The long saber flew up from the ground again, shooting out, heading straight for Jing Yunhui's head. Pang. Jing Yunhui swung his fist, smashing the long saber away. There were more bloodstains on his hand, and he couldn't help but curse angrily. You cheated. Did you take a drug to burst your willpower? Impossible. This bastard had already fought to such an extent, and he had even used a Tier 2 divine script. How could he still use his willpower? He was not convinced. Fake. Cheating. Heh. Su Yu could not be bothered with him, and continued to control the long saber to continuously surround and kill him. Jing Yunhui was extremely furious, and he sent the long saber flying again and again. The battle was not over yet. At this moment, the same words rang out again in a few places. Soul amplification technique. Jia Mingjin, Chen Yong, and the middle-aged man from the Xia family, all of them were muttering. It was definitely the soul amplification technique. Su Yu's willpower was terrifyingly long-lasting, and his newly replenished state was even longer than Zheng Yunhui's. What was this? Zhao Li. To think that Zhao Li would even impart the soul amplification technique to this brat. On the third floor, Zhou Pingxing's face changed color as he muttered, Zhao Li. Damn it! How could this old fellow be related to this brat? I'm in trouble. Zhao Li was at the 7th level of Ling Yun, the same level as him. However, he didn't even think about the other party's identity. The son of the 4th generation head of the academy. The master of the Origin Qi realm. Yes, the master of the Origin Qi realm. The 4th generation head of the academy had a descendant, so the Origin Qi realm naturally belonged to his descendants. However, Zhao Li didn't care about this. After it was taken away by the academy, he didn't care about it. However, on paper, this item still belonged to Zhao Li. Yuan Qi Arcane Realm. If Zhao Li takes back this arcane realm one day, what will happen to the academy? Even the saints have to appease this one. The other party is also the great Xia House second hope to cast the Earth Rank 1 Bing casting master. The status is absolutely not lower than any cabinet elder. Zhou Pingxing's eyes are gloomy. Su Yu, unexpectedly, and Zhao Li got involved. Isn't he a minor? Zhou Pingxing said in a low voice. How did he get Zhao Li's true inheritance? Lu Hong really didn't know much about this situation. He couldn't help but ask, Zhao Li. True inheritance. Soul expanding art. Zhou Pingxing said coldly, Su Yu's willpower is too strong. This isn't something he should have. He has cultivated the soul expanding art, Zhao Li's unique cultivation method, and a rare willpower cultivation method. He doesn't need to fly to cultivate it, and it's not even inferior to the 10,000 literature sutra passed down by the academy. And this? Lu Hong really didn't know. At this moment, his eyes flickered. How did I not know that there was such a thing? Zhou Pingxing didn't care about him anymore. He looked at the screen. The long saber kept on killing Zheng Yunhui. Even though Zheng Yunhui had made a breakthrough at the last minute, he was still heavily injured. At this moment, his momentum was declining. Once the temporary acupoints were closed, this fellow's strength would drop drastically. Su Yu didn't know how long he could last. Could it be that Zheng Yunhui is going to lose? At this moment, Zhou Pingxing could not help but have such a thought. He was somewhat in disbelief. Zheng Yunhui would lose. Impossible. At most 30 seconds, Zheng Yunhui will be able to exhaust Su Yu's willpower, even if he has cultivated the God-expanding technique. 30 seconds later. Zheng Yunhui's face was ashen. Looking at the long saber that was still charging at him, he could not help but curse, Su Yu, I'll F***ck your grandpa. Say, are you F***king about to soar into the sky? Say it. He roared angrily. This be *****, F***ck, how long has he been fighting with his willpower? How can he still fight? Is there any justice? There's no justice. Su Yu smiled as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Just as he was about to speak, Zheng Yunhui suddenly grabbed the long blade and allowed it to struggle. It pierced through his palm and broke through the air, sending Su Yu flying with a kick. F***cku. Come on. Zheng Yunhui went crazy and grabbed the long blade again. Blood flowed from his palm and the long blade vibrated, but he could not break free no matter what. Come on. He charged at Su Yu again and stomped down. Su Yu rolled and his face was covered in dust. You want to compete with me in terms of physical strength? Boom. The floor shattered. What kind of a hero is he if he uses his willpower? The experts from all directions remained silent as they cursed in their hearts. Damn it, this was a spar between civilized masters, and you actually dared to say such words. This brat, as expected of the son of the old Jing family. Pine. Another kick. Su Yu did not manage to avoid it. Zheng Yunhui's foot stepped on his chest, and an intense pain was felt. Su Yu gritted his teeth and hugged his leg, biting down with a gotcha sound. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 445, The Reader is Sad, and the Listener Weeps Monthly Votes, 3. Chapter 445, Chapter 124. The Reader is Sad, and the Listener Weeps Monthly Votes, ah. Zheng Yunhui screamed and cursed, let go. Pfft. His mind wandered, and the long knife became smaller. It pierced through his palm and went straight for his throat. Zheng Yunhui gritted his teeth and roared. Suddenly, he opened his mouth, lowered his head, and bit the short knife. His gums trembled and blood flowed out. At this moment, both of them became bloody figures. Acting? Who would believe it? At this moment, even Lu Hong felt that he was overthinking things. This was not acting. These two brats were fighting to the death. If no one stopped them, the two of them would have to fight to the death. They were too ruthless. Zheng Yunhui was completely mad at this moment. He allowed Su Yu to bite him and stepped on his chest even harder. He did not make a sound. There was no chance for him to make a sound. His teeth were still biting when bing. Blood kept coming out of Su Yu's mouth. He gradually bit until he was a little weak. It lasted for about a minute. Su Yu let go and said weakly, I admit defeat. I'm not fighting anymore. He could not fight anymore. If he continued fighting, he would be beaten to death by this bastard. Of course, Zheng Yunhui would not have an easy time either. But strictly speaking, Zheng Yunhui was still slightly stronger. Su Yu erupted again and again, and was defeated by him again and again. Zheng Yunhui was actually in a passive defensive position. Just like that, he managed to cripple Su Yu. Su Yu did not want to fight anymore. If he continued fighting, his injuries would be too serious, and it would delay his future cultivation. As soon as he finished speaking, Zheng Yunhui retracted his leg. He squatted on the ground and hugged his leg. Suddenly, large drops of tears fell. Damn it! He cried. He looked at his calf. There was almost a piece of flesh missing from it. Then, he looked at his chest. His bones were broken and there was also a piece of flesh missing from his chest. Then, he looked at his hands. They were dripping with blood. His teeth hurt. Pfft. He spat out a mouthful of blood and a big white tooth fell out. His back hurt. He seemed to have been pierced through by Su Yu's sneak attack in the illusionary realm. His teeth had fallen out, and his words were leaking. Zheng Yunhui looked at Su Yu, who was panting on the side, and his face turned green. He wanted to beat him to death. Now. Beat him to death. He had won. He had won too badly. Su Yu would need at least a month to recover, and he, at least 3 months. Because he had used a temporary secret technique, who had suffered a loss. He had even lost a tooth. It was a life and death battle. He had been beaten to such a state. This was not even a life and death battle. Otherwise, Su Yu would definitely not admit defeat. In the end, Su Yu might be killed by him, and he would probably be completely crippled. Zheng Yunhui gritted his teeth. His teeth hurt. Su Yu glanced at him and was somewhat speechless. The man had actually cried. He was also speechless. Zheng Yunhui ignored him. It was too painful. It was so painful that it could kill. Don't pretend. I don't believe that you're not in pain. Zheng Yunhui was exasperated. It's over. Why aren't you crying? You're crazy. Su Yu cursed softly. Why should I cry? It was just an injury. It wasn't like I died. Dying actually didn't hurt too much. It was just for a split second. When I died, I actually felt a little better. At least I didn't have to be tortured anymore. Just like that, the two of them fell silent. It was so quiet that it was scary. After a long while, Jing Yunhui said dejectedly, I didn't win happily. Next time, let's fight again. There won't be a next time. Su Yu said calmly, if you have this kind of strength, next time. I'll defeat you in one go. Jing Yunhui was speechless. He gritted his teeth, and his teeth hurt again. At this moment, when the bystanders were about to explode from anxiety, he finally remembered what he had to do. He scolded, I won. Hurry up and prove that the information is real. Wait a minute. You want to go back on your word? At this moment, on the third floor and outside, there were people who wanted to go crazy. Su Yu wanted to go back on his word. Su Yu said weakly, how am I supposed to allocate it to you in my current state? At least wait for me to stand up. He couldn't even stand up. This was also the first time he had such a feeling of fighting to the fullest. Half an hour later, Su Yu stood up. The experts who had been spying in the dark were so excited that they were about to cry. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't show their faces, they would have personally gone over to help Su Yu heal his injuries. This half an hour was simply torture. The old coach entered the room and saw the destroyed venue. He was a little speechless. These two brats. They were really strong. He had been cultivating for many years, but his physical body had sunk into 10,000 stones. His willpower had reached the peak of cultivation. However, looking at the scene of destruction, the old instructor seriously doubted whether he could win against them. Sparring. This wasn't sparring. Looking at the blood all over their bodies and the large number of knife wounds, who would spar like this? These two brats have the strength of the top 100. The old instructor's eyesight was not bad. He secretly guessed that he had never heard of them and was not too familiar with them. These two people were probably newbies, right? Newbies were so strong. No wonder they attracted many experts to watch the battle. He did not dare to say anything. He left the things he bought behind and quickly left the room. Jing Yunhui looked at Su Yu with a burning gaze. Su Yu did not waste any words and threw the jade talisman that he threw to him. I have opened the password. Take a look at the materials yourself. Jing Yunhui looked at it for a while and saw the densely packed small words. He then looked at the things that Su Yu had taken and nodded slightly. The materials are all here. Are you sure that you can concoct the innate blood essence with this? Nonsense. Su Yu looked around and said softly, I'll concoct it for you now. As he said that, he looked around and said, there won't be anyone monitoring it, right? Jing Yunhui said uncertainly, it can't be. It doesn't matter. The thing is yours anyway. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 446, The Reader is Sad, and the Listener Weeps. Monthly Votes, 4. Chapter 446, Chapter 124. The Reader is Sad, and the Listener Weeps. Monthly Votes, 4. Having said that, Su Yu was too lazy to talk nonsense. He picked up a basin and crushed a few pieces of ore. At the same time, he showed Jing Yunhui his bare arms. I didn't hide the blood essence that was prepared in the first place. Don't say that I lied to you later. Jing Yunhui nodded. Nonsense, if you hide it, how can I not see it? Su Yu continued to fiddle with it. Adding some soy sauce, getting some spices, putting in some medicine. At this moment, the others were watching intently. But very quickly, these people were unable to understand. Su Yu put in more and more things, and in the next moment, Su Yu suddenly said, this requires the cooperation of divine runes. There is a description of the fluctuation of divine runes on it. When you mix it, you need the cooperation of divine runes. Don't forget, once there is a mistake, it will definitely fail. As he said that, his divine runes began to fluctuate. His willpower shook the large hodgepodge in the basin. After a while, the thing in the basin was kneaded into a dough-like thing. It was wrapped with a few drops of blood essence. Su Yu's expression was solemn as he shouted in a low voice, "Duh." His willpower seemed to have turned into a hammer. He struck the dough time and time again. He completely followed old Zhao's forging steps. He beat the dough smaller and smaller. Smaller and smaller. The next moment, the dough cracked, revealing a few drops of essence blood wrapped inside. Among them, was the iron-winged bird essence blood. Su Yu frowned and said, "I can't guarantee that I can succeed every time. Every drop can turn into an innate essence blood. Let me show you." As he said that, he swallowed a drop of essence blood. Su Yu's face turned red. After swallowing the essence blood, his meridian swelled and his body shook. A moment later, he shook his head with a disappointed face and said, "This drop of essence blood can't do it." Jing Yunhui was anxious. The others were also anxious. He failed. This kid is fooling people, right? Jia Mingzhen could not help but curse in a low voice. If this can work, I'll eat the table. This kid, is this the blood essence production method that Hong Tan spent decades researching? The others were also stunned. It must be fake. What the hell was this? Su Yu swallowed another drop of blood essence. His face was red as he absorbed the power of the blood essence. He exhaled and said gloomily, "No. Are you bluffing me?" Jing Yunhui shouted. He said angrily, "This won't do either. That won't do either. Are you lying to me?" These words had entered the minds of the others. Su Yu frowned. What's the rush? There's still one more drop. I'll try again. If it doesn't work, I'll make another one. Scram. 300 merit points and you can make this thing for me. Jing Yunhui was both anxious and angry. What are you doing? If you can't F*King do it, then don't test it. The others still doubted whether it was true or not, but now, it was completely fake. What's the rush? Su Yu said unhappily, different blood essences have different success rates. We have tested the iron-winged bird's blood essence the most. If it succeeds, I feel that the success rate is the highest. After saying that, he swallowed the iron-winged bird's blood essence. This time, Su Yu did not experience an explosion in his meridians. His expression changed a little. The people upstairs could feel that the blood essence aura on his body was not strong. At this moment, everyone became nervous. In the next moment, Su Yu suddenly clawed out. With a bang, Jing Yunhui was sent flying by him. Su Yu grabbed onto a piece of ore. With a kacha sound, the ore was shattered. 10,000 stones. Tearing technique. At this moment, everyone was stunned. It worked. What the hell, it worked. It worked just like that. What the hell? It was real. That information was real. At this moment, in the top floor of the cultivation pavilion, an old man spat out a mouthful of tea. Are you kidding me? Wan Tiansheng was dumbstruck. Are you kidding me? Do you think I'm a kid? You made a dough and then used old Zhao's forging technique to forge it. With a few waves of divine runes, you managed to get the blood essence out. Are you kidding me? But he promised that he had just bought this blood essence. How could he, a dignified principal, make a mistake? Then he could go blind. Wan Tiansheng wanted to curse, but he didn't know who to curse at. Really? He was dumbfounded. In the next moment, his gaze suddenly turned to another place, Qinyong. He felt Chen Yong's condition. In the tea house, Chen Yong, who had always been calm, smashed the teapot with a bang. He got up to wipe the table, and with a bang, he smashed the table. Chen Yong, an honest man, was also stunned. "Master, did you develop a second method to produce blood essence? How come I didn't know there was such a simple method?" It was as if he was making a bun, and he was able to produce his innate blood essence. Chen Yong couldn't hold back his strength, and he smashed a lot of things. Obviously, he was also stunned. Wan Tiansheng was a little stunned. What was going on? Chen Yong obviously didn't know. He was also stunned by Su Yu's crude method of producing blood essence. That information, is it real or fake? At this moment, he suddenly thought of that day when he went to the nature garden to observe and saw the situation of this kid's cultivation. He devoured the blood essence to cultivate. Could it be the influence of a special divine text? Su Yu's divine text had fluctuated just now. Could it be that this was the reason? As for the other things, were they all a smokescreen? In any case, he did not believe that it was possible to create an innate blood essence like this. It was too much of a joke. It was simply a disgrace to Hong Tan's reputation. After decades of research, if Hong Tan were to develop his innate blood essence just like that, he, Wan Tiansheng, would have wanted to die. If Hong Tan was here himself, he would probably have jumped off a building. This kid is scamming people. Wan Tiansheng was speechless. Chen Yong was nearby. He was certain that it was definitely to scam people. But to tell the truth, if he had not seen Chen Yong's reaction, he would probably have doubted life. Was it not a scam? Wan Tiansheng rubbed his chin. In the next moment, he smiled. Do whatever you want. However, all the experts in the vicinity had fallen into my line of sight today. He knew clearly who had gone and who had not. Wan Tiansheng snorted lightly. Among them, there was definitely a scoundrel from the Myriad Clan sect. That's fine too. I won't ruin your plan. It's your fault for being too poor, but it'll be difficult for the Jing family's kid to leave. Wan Tiansheng muttered. I won't stop him from selling things. But. It's better to keep the blood essence. That thing was 100% fake, but the blood essence was real. I'm just watching the show. I'm waiting for the ending. Taking the blood essence, no one will know it was me. They were already at their own doorstep. A private fight, illegal gambling, he had every reason to confiscate them. No matter how many merit points they sold, if he did not confiscate them, he would be letting them down. After all, it was not easy for them to put on an act. If they fought to the death, he would at least give them some benefits. If he really took all of them, how would he be able to use a long line to fish for big fish in the future? Wan Tiansheng smiled and nodded. I'm a good person. You guys fought so hard and acted so tiredly. I'll give you all the merit points. You're really a good person. For the head prefect to do what I did, I'm the only one in the world. I earned 5 drops of celestial blood essence. It's not bad today. Wan Tiansheng muttered. It's not bad. I didn't watch the show for nothing. P.S. I'll push a book, big senior brother Bo Yuntian. Everyone, collect and support it. Kill him and sacrifice him to the flag. The monthly votes must be in the top 10. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 447, Transactions, Monthly Pass requested at the beginning of the month, 1. Chapter 447, Chapter 125 Transactions, Monthly Pass requested at the beginning of the month, 1. Inside the dojo. At this moment, Jing Yunhui was stunned. He had really exploded. He looked at the information Su Yu gave him again and compared the things Su Yu used. The process, everything was the same. It was really these things. That was what was written on the information. When he looked at it, he was also stunned. Of course, he felt that it was fake, so he didn't think too much about it. But now, Jing Yunhui looked at the information again and again, then compared it to Su Yu's operation process just now. In the end, he was completely stunned. He suspected that Su Yu had brought out the real information. As for being sent flying by Su Yu, he couldn't care less about the small matter. Su Yu. Jing Yunhui hurriedly got up and looked at Su Yu with a dumbfounded expression. There was still some confusion in his days. Was this really going to be sold? If he sold it, there would be a big problem. The commotion was so big. If he sold the real information, did he not want to live anymore? Su Yu's expression was calm. I've given it to you. Take a good look at it yourself. What's wrong with comparing it? Of course, this is just a simple and crude production. In fact, the laboratory has some specialized equipment to complement it. The success rate is higher and it's easier to check. There's no need to go through the trouble like me. I can't even provide you with these. You can go and do it yourself. Jing Yunhui wanted to say something but hesitated. Su Yu stood up and took the remaining materials. He smiled and said, "These will be mine to avoid wasting them. Do you have any objections?" "No." Jing Yunhui shook his head. "You can take them if you want." At this moment, his mind was a little muddled. What should he do? "Then I'll leave, keep it a secret." Su Yu said seriously, "Jing Yunhui, I lost the item to you, but I will never admit it when I leave this door. You have no evidence to say that I gave it to you. If you dare to leak the secret, I dare to say that you stole the lab's information. Even if teacher suspects it, he has no evidence. When the time comes, you, Jing Yunhui, take the item. Don't blame me for not reminding you." Jing Yunhui said speechlessly, "How can I steal it?" That's hard to say. If it really can't be done. If I'm discovered, I'll say that I'm a chess piece of your Jing family. It has long been arranged for me to be chased away. If your Jing family doesn't support me, I'll spread the word everywhere that you guys will burn the bridge after crossing the river. The Jing family doesn't care about human affairs." Jing Yunhui was speechless. Damn it, this bastard. He couldn't be bothered to say anything more. He was still thinking, is this information real or fake? Now, he was also dumbfounded. He guaranteed that the blood essence that Su Yu had just used was bought on the spot. How did Su Yu manage to unleash the iron-winged bird's innate skill? Did he open those apertures by himself? Impossible. Those apertures were opened at the last minute. Anyone with a sharp eye could tell. What a headache. Jing Yunhui really had a headache. If the information was real and he sold it, there would really be some trouble, especially now that many people knew about it. If you had said earlier that it was real, I would have found someone to secretly sell it to. Right now, who knew how many people were watching? I'll be leaving first. Su Yu did not say much. His injuries had not recovered yet. Although he had absorbed a few drops of blood essence, his condition was still quite serious. He had to go back and treat his injuries. Jing Yunhui watched him leave. For a moment, he did not know what to say. On the third floor, Su Yu had just left when Zhou Pingxing quickly said, "Go, hurry up and get that information." Lu Hong was also doubting his life at this time. He was even a little annoyed. If he had known that it was real, he would not have made any movements outside. He would have kept it for himself. How could tens of thousands of merit points represent getting this thing? But now, it was too late. As Lu Hong walked out, he thought, why is it real? Are Bai Feng and Chen Yong idiots? How did they let Su Yu come into contact with this thing? He had only entered the research center for more than a month. You two idiots are too trusting of others. Bai Feng didn't look so stupid, even though it wasn't a good thing. Lu Hong had 30% doubt and 70% trust, but he didn't dare to completely believe it. However, he didn't completely deny the authenticity of this information like before. Forget it. If I lose a little, I'll lose a little. I'll just earn a few tens of thousands of merit points. Lu Hong sighed in his heart. I'll just reimburse more then. I'll just earn a little. It's good if it's true. At least there won't be too much trouble in the future. If it was fake, he would have to think of a way to clear his name. Lu Hong had just left and the middle-aged man from the Xia family and Xia Huyo came out from the opposite room. The two of them met. The few of them looked at each other. In the room, Zhou Pingxing suddenly smiled and said, "Brother Xia, it's been some time since we last met. Why don't we have a cup of tea together?" The middle-aged man frowned slightly and quickly recovered his smile. "Huyo, go and do your work. I'll have a chat with Curator Zhou." Xia Huyo nodded. Without saying anything else, he followed Lu Hong down the stairs. At the same time, outside the dojo, a few more people came. These people wore robes that covered their entire bodies. Their faces were not exposed, and their auras were somewhat illusory. Willpower fluctuations covered their entire bodies. They did not seem to be from the same group. The few of them met at the entrance of the dojo. They glanced at each other and silently went upstairs one after another. Next door. In the restaurant. Jia Mingjun stared at the few of them for a while. He frowned and said, "We can't tell who they are. Should we intervene? This is an internal department of the academy." A group of people suddenly appeared to cover their tracks. They had to be careful. The female pavilion elder shook her head and said, "There's no need. When they come out, follow them. See who they are and whether they have any other connections. If we intervene now, it will easily alert the enemy. Then the information." A pavilion elder frowned and said, "That fellow Su Yu is extremely bold. If this information is leaked, it will be very troublesome." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 448, Transactions Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month, 2. Chapter 448, Chapter 125 Transactions Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month, 2. Jia Mingjun said calmly, "It was taken by the Xia family, or it was taken by the single Divine One faction. There's nothing we can do about it. They spent money to buy it, and it was also bought by a private research institute. How can we interfere? It's an enemy faction, and they even have the name to deal with them. However, the Xia family and the single Divine One faction are not easy to deal with." The few of them fell silent. This was indeed not easy to deal with. Jia Mingjun quickly smiled and said, "It's fine. The one who lost was the duo Divine One faction. It was Su Yu who did it. It's also because they don't understand people. I don't pity Hong Tan, I just feel a little pity for Su Yu." Once these words were said, the few of them fell silent. It was really a pity. Such a monster had betrayed the duo Divine One faction for greed. Who would dare to take him in the future? Even if the many divine languages faction did not pursue the matter, he would still be crippled. The atmosphere was somewhat heavy. A monster being crippled, these pavilion elders did not feel good. Originally, their expectations were fake, but now, they could not describe their feelings. After a long while, Jia Mingjun returned to normal. He smiled and said, "Watch the show, continue watching the show." The few of them did not say anything more. Suddenly, someone thought of something and said faintly, "It's time to eat the table." Jia Mingjun pretended not to hear it. What a joke, who would eat the table? Did I say that before? The others rolled their eyes. They knew that this fellow was going to renege on his promise. On the second floor. Jing Yunhui packed his things and was about to leave. When he saw Lu Hong enter, he was not surprised. However, when he saw Xia Huyo, he frowned slightly. Brother Yunhui. Xia Huyo was still full of smiles. Don't be wary. My Xia family is the #1 family in the great Xia manor. If Brother Yunhui wants to do business, look for me. Xia Huyo, what are you getting involved in? Jing Yunhui said unhappily, you bastard. You have never been a good person since you were young. You are just like your second uncle. Xia Huyo smiled and said, Brother Yunhui, why are you so prejudiced against me? Also, my second uncle is a good person. Who doesn't know that? Cough cough. Lu Hong coughed lightly and said directly, Yunhui, we had an agreement previously. I have paid the deposit. I have also brought the money and the things. As the strongest person in this generation of the Jing family, I still have to keep my word, right? Xia Huyo interrupted him directly, in a business transaction, everything must be done according to the contract. How much is the deposit paid? How much does the Xia family have to pay to break the contract? My Xia family will bear it. We won't let Brother Yunhui lose a single cent. Lu Hong glanced at Xia Huyo and suddenly said, Xia Huyo, do you have the final say in the Xia Trading Company? Xia Huyo smiled and said, I don't, but I can still make the decision for this small business. Small business. Lu Hong thought of this in his heart, and then he thought of Jing Yunhui saying that his second master. Second master. The Xia family was very big, and there were many people. Lu Hong was actually not familiar with the Xia family. He knew that Xia Hu was a member of the Xia family, but his exact identity was unknown. At this moment, he was a little more suspicious. Second Great Master, ranked second, Xia family, Master Xia Ho. Xia Chan's generation. Master Xia Ho's grandnephew. How many nephews did Master Xia Ho have? There were quite a few. The most famous one was naturally Xia Longwu. This was his biological nephew, and there were many other distant nephews. Could he be the son of the manor head? Lu Hong had such a thought. No way. He knew that the manor head had a son, but he had never seen him before. Xia Longwu's level was far from him. Even if someone in the academy knew, he would be at the Shanghai realm, or some old Ling Yun. He had been in the academy for less than 10 years, so he did not have the qualifications to come into contact with that level. With doubt in his heart, he didn't ask any further and looked at Jing Yunhui. He opened his mouth and said, doing business is like negotiating a contract. But Yunhui, you're not a businessman. You're destined to become a strong person. The strong are at the head of the mice. You're hesitant, and your agreement is overturned in the blink of an eye. This is a blow to your confidence. Furthermore, once it's given to the Xia family will definitely mass produce and publicize it. At that time, Elder Hong will definitely know. It's different if it's given to us. We will keep a low profile and research it. We will not use profit as our goal. We will give you a period of respite. Xia Huyo beamed and said, what you said, no one will know if you keep a low profile and research it. Moreover, the item was taken out by Su Yu. What does it have to do with Yunhui? Of course, it's better to earn a little more. Brother Yunhui, we will add 10,000 merit points to the amount that Assistant Instructor Lu has taken out. Rich and willful. I don't even ask how much you've talked about. I'll add another 10,000. Lu Hong was also speechless. The Xia family was rich and overbearing. If it was really a competition of money, then the Divine Literature Department was naturally inferior. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Hong frowned. Outside the door, there were more people. A few mysterious people covered in a shroud appeared. Someone said in a hoarse voice, information, we want it too. Name a price. Everyone will compete fairly. The one with the highest price will get it. As soon as these words were said, Lu Hong said coldly, "Who are you? Hiding your heads and showing your tails. In the academy, you still dress like this. Do you believe that I will immediately report this to the guards?" A mysterious person dressed in a black robe said in a low voice, "Lu Hong, don't forget that this is not an auction. This is a black market transaction. As for our identities, as long as we are not from the Myriad Clan Church, you don't care who we are." The other man was much more direct. He said, "I'm from the Nine Heavens Academy. We want what we want. As for who I am, I won't say any more." Lu Hong's face was gloomy. He looked at Jing Yunhui and said in a low voice, "If you sell the wrong person, it will be a big trouble. I warned you before." Jing Yunhui looked left and right and said speechlessly, "I didn't inform so many people, right? I want a secret transaction, and a large group of you came. Is this considered a secret? You attracted Elder Hong or the head of the mansion. Are you going to compensate me for the loss?" You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 449, Transactions, Requesting Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month, 3. Chapter 449, Chapter 125 Transactions, Requesting Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month. He was also depressed. Why were there so many people here? Lu Hong did not say anything. There were so many people here, and it had a little to do with him. He could not say this, or else Zhou Pingsheng would kill him if he heard it. Jing Yunhui looked at the few of them and said directly, "Forget about those who did not reveal their identities, I'm not selling them. I don't dare to sell them either. I'm not stupid, are you guys going to take responsibility if something happens to me? I'd rather sell less. You guys can leave now." After saying that, he looked at Lu Hong and Xia Huyo and said, "Let's talk somewhere else." Just as he finished speaking, the aura of the person opposite him changed slightly. Jing Yunhui was shocked. Before he could say anything, someone outside the door said calmly, "You guys should leave. This isn't a deal that you can get involved in." The middle-aged man from the Xia family. The person whose aura had fluctuated just now had his face hidden. No changes could be seen, but his aura was instantly restrained. The middle-aged man from the Xia family smiled. "I'm not a member of the civilized academy. I'm just a businessman, so I don't want to pursue your identity. However, if you don't leave now, you'll attract the experts from the academy." The person who called himself the Nine Heavens Academy said indifferently, "Xia Sini, I have nothing to be afraid of. I'm here to make a deal, not to cause trouble. If you want to leave me, then don't even think about making a deal. If you attract it, then so be it. Since we can't get it, no one can get it." The middle-aged man frowned, "Why bother? Now that the Wentan Research Center had sealed off the technology, no one could get it. If the Xia family got it, they would vigorously develop it. In the future, everyone could buy the innate blood essence. With everyone's strength, they could develop it sooner or later. Derive it. If we really continue to be locked down by Hong Tan, unless they produce a complete result, we can forget about it. Only by obtaining it now will we have the chance to share it with everyone. Our Xia Clan Trading Company prioritizes profits. As long as our identities are normal and we aren't from the Myriad Clans or the Myriad Clans, then there won't be any problems. It won't be difficult for us to spend some money to share the technology, right?" Xia Sini said sincerely, "Do we continue to be blocked by Hong Tan, or do we get to share it? Who do you think has the greater chance?" The few of them fell silent. Xia Sini continued, "Of course, the Myriad Clans are a different matter. There won't be any of them present, right?" Xia Sini's aura had changed. "If there is, then we might not be able to leave." The few mysterious people naturally could not see any changes. The person from the Nine Heavens Academy chuckled and said, "Even if there is someone, they will not admit it. Naturally, they have a proper identity. There's no need for you to scare them. If you want us to leave, that's fine too. Give us the list from before. In addition, you must have recorded the process of Su Yu's production. Give us a copy. Xia Sini frowned. You didn't record the video. It's already good enough to be able to spy under your noses. How are you going to record it? This person said indifferently, if you don't agree with this, then let's part ways. Xia Sini was silent for a moment and didn't say anything else. He threw out a few temporary jade talismans. The few of them took them and looked at them. Soon, the few of them quickly left. They knew that with the Xia family and the single department of divine literature, the chances of them getting it were not high. However, with this recording, they might be able to deduce it themselves. After they left, Xia Sini looked at Jing Yunhui. Jing Yunhui smiled dryly. Uncle Sini. You sure are brave. You even dare to take out your family's blood essence and gamble. Jing Yunhui laughed dryly and did not reply. I'm not very brave. Why would you guys come here now? On the side, Lu Hong was helpless. From the looks of it, his plan to earn money did not seem to work anymore. After thinking for a moment, Lu Hong smiled and said, Yunhui, can I talk to you privately? Jing Yunhui thought for a moment and nodded. The two of them walked to a corner. Lu Hong turned his head to look at Xia Sini and Su Yu and directly transmitted his voice, stop pretending. This is a trap set up by you and Su Yu. Do you really want to scam the Xia family? Aren't you afraid that the Xia family will find trouble with you? Jing Yunhui's heart trembled. Although his expression did not change, his heart still pounded. Lu Hong seemed to be very confident as he transmitted his voice again, does Su Yu want to scam me or the single divine script department? Assistant Professor Lu. Jing Yunhui could not transmit his voice, so he could only say, you're joking. I'm not joking. Lu Hong carefully observed his every move. He listened to his heartbeat and felt the fluctuations of his breathing. He transmitted his voice again, you guys are really bold. Your acting is not bad either. You even managed to fool Zhou Pingsheng and Xia Sini. But, you can't fool me. You deliberately let me hear your conversation before. This is probably the beginning of the plan. Lu Hong stared at him and felt everything. He continued, but, do you know that I've really seen the process of how to create innate blood essence? What? Jing Yunhui was slightly shocked. Lu Hong heaved a sigh of relief. F***ck. Damn it. Is it true? You guys are really good. He was just testing them. To be honest, he had believed it 80% before, but he still wanted to give it a try. In the end, Jing Yunhui was still not experienced enough. You don't believe me? I've been in contact with Baifeng for so many years. Do you think I haven't seen how to create innate blood essence? Do you think I'm an idiot? Scamming the Xia family is courting death. Scamming me. I'm a poor person. What's the use of scamming me? Right now, the only thing you can sell is Zhou Pingsheng. I'll offer 80,000 points. If you agree, I'll give you 40,000 points. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 450, Transactions, Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month, 4. Chapter 450, Chapter 125 Transactions, Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month, 4. You. Jing Yunhui's eyes widened. Holy shit. You actually want to make a fortune. No, it's a lot of money. Without my cooperation, who can you sell it to? Believe it or not, I'll expose you. Lu Hong said unceremoniously, 40,000 points is not a small amount. I also took a huge risk. After that, I still have to get rid of the responsibility. If it's not good, my future will be ruined too. At this moment, he was completely sure that it was fake. But it was better if it was fake. If it was real, it would be troublesome. If it was real, he would not be able to compete with the Xia family. Don't be too greedy. You two brats, what's the use of having so many merits? Lu Hong continued, I will try my best to stall for time for you two to go and develop it. If it fails, it will be because there is not enough research and development. It will require time. It will require a large number of experiments. I will give you time. In this way, the days of being exposed will be longer. This is the benefit that I can bring you. Lu Hong transmitted his voice, otherwise, even if you make a deal with Zhou Pingsheng and he believes you, I will immediately report it to Elder Zheng or even Principal Zhou. Once they have doubts, they will quickly react. Yes, they cannot attack you, but, do you think that it is difficult for the single divine pros faction to suppress you now? Jing Yunhui cursed in his heart. F***ck. This bastard was really black-hearted. Previously, he had only offered 20,000, but now he was asking for 80,000. It was really crazy. Lu Hong ignored him and said again, if you agree, then cooperate. If you don't agree, you'd better wash up and sleep. It's impossible to take so many merit points. You. Zheng Yunhui's face turned black. Damn it. Wasn't their goal to trick Lu Hong? Why did it feel like they were working for Lu Hong now? It was so uncomfortable. He wasn't happy about winning today, and now he was even more unhappy. Even if Lu Hong said he would give him 40,000, which was more than before, he was still unhappy. Lu Hong said earnestly, Yunhui, think about it. If we work together now, we're on the same rope. In the future, I will give you some convenience. Of course, I am referring to you, not Su Yu. You can tell him that you only sold it for 20,000, or even 10,000. Will he go and verify it? He is a poor kid. If you give him a few hundred merit points, maybe you can get rid of him. Zheng Yunhui rolled his eyes. Do you think Su Yu is an idiot? Lu Hong smiled and did not say anything more. He calculated in his heart for a while and heaved a sigh of relief. Very good. The next moment, Lu Hong suddenly said, I need to go out for a while and discuss with someone. I can't make the decision on this. A moment later, Lu Hong went upstairs. Zhou Pingsheng frowned and said, what did you talk about? What did Jing Yunhui say? Lu Hong said somewhat angrily, this bastard, seeing that the Xia family is here, he demanded an exorbitant price and directly increased the price. 80,000 merit points, not a single point less. Senior brother, I think it's better to give up. This information may not be true. I'm a little worried, it's too simple. After saying that, he continued, I asked him why he didn't allow me to compete with the Xia family. This bastard told me that this was his grandfather's instruction. Senior brother, what does this mean? His grandfather. Zhou Pingsheng was stunned for a moment, then he pondered for a moment and snorted, it's obvious. He wants us to compete with the multi-god literature department more fiercely. All these years, the Civilization Institute has divided a large amount of resources from the Zhanjin College. He has always been at odds with Principal Wan. Now that he has found an opportunity, he naturally wants us to fight among ourselves. Lu Hong nodded with admiration. You deduced this yourself, so I didn't say anything. No wonder you weren't allowed to compete with Xia Sini. I see. Zhou Pingsheng said coldly, what a huge appetite. 80,000 points, these boorish fellows from the Jing family had really used their brains this time. They had taken the benefits and made the internal strife in the Institute of Civilization even more intense, however, they had overestimated the multi-god literature department. The only one worthy of being feared was Hong Tan. Hong Tan is unable to hold on by himself. The Divine Runes department has long been dead in name. Now that their most important research results have been obtained by us, they don't even have any hope of turning things around. Lu Hong hurriedly said, "Senior brother, do you mean to agree? But I've seen the process that Su Yu created previously. Isn't it too crude? It's normal." Zhou Pingxing didn't mind too much. The research process is full of unexpected factors. Often, many things are the result of accidents. Even the birth of a civilized master was full of accidents. Back then, the first civilized master comprehended divine inscriptions from an ordinary book. Can you believe it now? Lu Hong nodded, but he still felt a little uneasy. That's too much. 80,000 points. If something goes wrong, we won't be able to bear such a loss. Senior brother, why don't we ask Pavilion Master Zheng and Principal Zheng? Teacher has gone into seclusion. Senior Zheng said that as long as it's true, we will obtain it at all costs. Zhou Pingxing said in a deep voice, 80,000 points, is still within our limits. Go and tell Zheng Yunhui that we have agreed to it. Let's make the deal now so as to avoid any unnecessary trouble. He has secretly changed the information. Right now, I am keeping an eye on him. He doesn't have the time to change the information. He was also worried that Zheng Yunhui would change the information after leaving this place. At that time, he really wasn't sure if it was true or not. Now, there was only one copy of the information, and Zheng Yunhui didn't have the time to change it. Senior brother. Cut the crap. Zhou Pingxing said impatiently, I know what you're worried about. But everything is happening right under our noses. Lu Hong, don't waste any more time. If the higher-ups of the institute find out, we'll be in big trouble. You don't have to pay for it. Do you want to prove that you have better taste than me? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 451, Trading, Requesting Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month, 5. Chapter 451, Chapter 125 Trading, Requesting Monthly Pass at the Beginning of the Month, 5. I don't dare. Lu Hong hurriedly said, Senior brother, I didn't mean that. I just feel that it's too much. Why don't I try to bargain? There's no need. The Xia family is here. Zhou Pingxing said somewhat angrily, now is not the time to care about these small profits. You are a person who plans too much and has very shallow vision. You always look at things with your narrow vision. The bigger picture is more important. Lu Hong was enlightened. He thought about it and said seriously, thank you for your advice, senior brother. Maybe I really have such a problem. I will reflect on myself when I go back and reflect on myself. Senior brother, then I will go to trade. Go. Zhou Pingxing threw him a merit card. Use this. Transfer it to your card first and then to him. Got it. Lu Hong went downstairs, looking like he had been taught a lesson. I tried to persuade him. You insisted on buying it yourself, and you even said that my foresight is shallow. There's nothing I can do about it. As for being cheated, what does that have to do with me? I'm not the person in charge. At worst, I'll just be punished and my resources will be weakened. What's the big deal? I'll have to spend a few years to get 40,000 merit points. On the second floor. Xia Sini frowned and looked at Zheng Yunhui. Yunhui, are you really not going to consider it? Zheng Yunhui forced a smile and said, Uncle, I still have to mingle in the academy. And now? I can be considered to be in the divine literature department alone. The Xia family may be strong, but the Xia family doesn't have the final say in the divine literature department. You. Xia Sini was helpless. She looked at Lu Hong and was a little angry. She said in a low voice, Lu Hong, it's a waste that the things are in your hands. Lu Hong said innocently, I'm just flying. I don't have the ability to change anything or decide anything. Everything has nothing to do with me. At the next moment, Xia Sini snorted lightly and turned to leave. Xia Huyo looked at Jing Yunhui and then at Lu Hong. He scratched his head and thought of Su Yu's previous words. He was a little uncertain. Was this thing real or fake? Lu Hong did not waste his breath. First, he threw a large bottle to him. This is 6,000 drops of yuan qi liquid. With a deposit, it will be counted as 20,000 merit points. With that said, he transferred another 20,000 merit points to him. Lying through his teeth, he said, "This is the remaining 60,000 merit points." Jing Yunhui cursed in his heart. At this moment, he even had the heart to roar. "Damn it, you only gave me 20,000 merit points." He knew that someone must be observing. However, they could not see the number on the merit card. Lu Hong did not care about him and continued, "The amount is too big. I'll transfer it to you 6 times. After saying that, a merit card suddenly appeared in his hand. He avoided those probes and transferred 40,000 merit points into this card. Just as he finished transferring, he said, "I'll give you 2 cards to transfer so that the amount is not too big and attract the attention of the academy." This time, he took out another card. Jing Yunhui was speechless. "Can I use this card?" "Of course, it's anonymous." The academy's merit cards from many years ago were all very expensive. Now that they're not made anymore, they're all in the hands of some seniors. As he said that, he randomly operated the second card and threw it to Jing Yunhui. No money. Empty card. It was just to prevent the higher-ups from checking his transfer records, in case they found out that he did not have a transfer record of 60,000 credits. Jing Yunhui held the empty card and his face turned black. "Damn it, you operated in secret in front of me, you are really not something." Lu Hong did not care about him. After getting the jade talisman, he did not leave and said, "You can leave now. I want to hand over the jade talisman with senior brother under his nose. Otherwise, I would not bear the responsibility of changing the jade talisman." Jing Yunhui gritted his teeth. He was not happy that he did not earn 40,000 merit points. All he felt was anger, grievance, and pity. Lu Hong was really inhuman. Su Yu was also inhuman. Those who liked to laugh were not good people. He felt that he had been wronged by earning money this time. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 452, Too Many Holes, Asking for a Monthly One. Chapter 452, Chapter 126 Too Many Holes, Asking for a Monthly One. Jing Yunhui walked out of the dojo with his injured body. His face was full of vigilance. Just as he walked out of the dojo, a masked man appeared. Jing Yunhui was very anxious. Just as he was about to shout, something appeared in the masked man's hand. Jing Yunhui looked at the masked man strangely and did not say anything more. He followed him out. In the restaurant next door, a few elders had already left to follow those mysterious people. At this moment, only Jia Mingjun was still around. When Jia Mingjun saw that another person had arrived, he was stunned. Why were there so many of them? Why would Jing Yunhui leave with the other party? Who was this person? He pondered for a moment before disappearing from the spot. At the same time, in the Heart Cultivation Pavilion, Wan Tianqing's gaze was a little strange. With a smile, he halted his footsteps. There was no rush, so he took his time. Jing Yunhui followed behind the masked man. He found it a little strange. The other party had taken out Su Yu's literary soldier, and Su Yu had found it. Otherwise, the literary soldier wouldn't have been given to someone so easily. Of course, it was possible that Su Yu had been killed. However, the possibility was too small. In the academy, assassinating a genius was truly a matter of life and death. Even if the academy searched the entire Great Xia Manor, they would still pursue him to the end. Where is Su Yu? After following the masked man for a while, Jing Yunhui was a little tired. This time, his injuries were not light. "We're almost there," the masked man said in a muffled voice. A moment later, the two of them arrived at a hotel. They went upstairs and entered a room. Su Yu was recovering from his injuries. When he saw Jing Yunhui, he smiled and said, "Is it done?" Jing Yunhui looked at the masked man curiously, then looked at Su Yu. He frowned and said, "Who is it?" The masked man took off his hat. Jing Yunhui looked at him curiously. He didn't know him. He really didn't know him. "My uncle master." Su Yu replied indifferently and said, "Don't worry. I was just afraid that you would run away, so I asked my martial uncle to bring you here." Was that human language? Jing Yunhui was speechless. At this moment, he also knew that the person had said it. He hurriedly said, "Greetings, Curator Chen." Chen Yong nodded slightly and didn't say anything. He looked at Su Yu curiously. He was really curious. That thing was obviously fake. How did he get his innate blood essence? Bai Feng did not tell anyone about this. Su Yu did not care too much. He knew what they were thinking. He said casually, "Master wrote me an essay on will. I drew a special divine text that can temporarily convert ordinary blood essence into innate blood essence." When he said this, the two of them came to a sudden realization. Jing Yunhui said in surprise, "There's such a divine text." "There are too many divine texts." "How much do you know?" Su Yu did not think much of it. In the past, he did not know much about divine texts, but now he knew more. He knew that there were thousands of divine texts with all kinds of characteristics. Even the same word could have different characteristics. A special divine text that could be converted into innate blood essence. It was somewhat special, but it was still within the normal range. It was said that some divine runes could even allow one to travel through the past and the future. Could you believe it? How much did you get? Who did you sell it to? Lu Hong. Jing Yunhui said with some grievance, "That bastard saw that we tricked him." "Oh." Su Yu was slightly startled. "What do you mean?" "He saw through it." Jing Yunhui recounted what had happened just now and said with some grievance, then he quoted 80,000 yuan to Zhou Pingsheng, gave me 30,000 yuan, and took 50,000 yuan for himself. Dog eat dog. Chen Yong suddenly grunted. It was a dog-eat-dog within the divine literature department. This guy Lu Hong was extremely audacious. He actually dared to make a false report. Moreover, he knew that it was a scam, yet he still dared to accept it. Su Yu frowned and said unhappily, "You agreed just like that?" "Then what if I don't agree?" Jing Yunhui said helplessly, "If I don't agree, won't he expose us on the spot? Then we won't get a single cent." "Bullshit." Su Yu frowned and said, "This guy is so greedy, how could he give up this opportunity? But he's very brave, isn't he afraid that we will tell on him?" Chen Yong interjected, "He's not afraid, because the single divine one faction won't believe our words." Chen Yong sighed and said, "Even if we go to Zhou Pingsheng now, he also thinks that we want to get the information back and won't believe that the information is fake." Lu Hong was fearless. If he really found out that the information was fake, it would be Zhou Pingsheng's responsibility. It had nothing to do with him. Su Yu frowned. He actually dared to open his mouth and eat 50,000 points all at once. With that said, he looked at Jing Yunhui and said faintly, "You only took 30,000 points." "That's right." Jing Yunhui sighed and said, 6,000 drops of yuan qi liquid, 10,000 merit points, and the rest is the deposit for me. With that said, he said, "This time, it was sold a little more than expected. I don't want more. Other than the deposit for me, I just need another 4,000 drops of yuan qi liquid." By the side, Chen Yong was secretly speechless. These two brats really dared to speak. This time, they had cheated so many merit points. Tens of thousands of points. Suyu glanced at him and said after a long while, originally, according to the distribution plan, it was 3 points, and you were given 10,000 points. Previously, you used 2,000 points, so another 8,000 points would be enough. Jing Yunhui said in distress, am I not injured? If I don't spend money to recuperate, I'll need a few months to recover. With my condition, can't you give me more? Otherwise, I'll give you 20,000 points, and you won't ask. Suyu said calmly, 3,000 drops of yuan qi liquid, for you. I don't want to ask how much you took for yourself. The remaining 3,000 drops of yuan qi liquid and 10,000 merit points belong to me. That's too little. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 453, Too Many Pitfalls, Monthly 2. Chapter 453, Chapter 126 Too Many Pitfalls, Monthly 2. Suyu stared at him, giving him goosebumps. Jing Yunhui, do you really think I'm a fool? Jing Yunhui coughed dryly and said somewhat embarrassedly, it's true. I only took 30,000 points. Lu Hong took the lion's share. Suyu ignored him and directly threw out the merit card. He said, transfer 10,000 points to me, forget it, transfer 5,000 points to me. Leave the rest for my martial uncle. Also, leave 3,000 drops of yuan qi liquid for my martial uncle. Suyu. Chen Yong was about to say something when Suyu said, martial uncle, keep it to make up for the shortfall. This is teacher's share to begin with. I'll give his to you in advance. I'll leave 5,000 merit points to use. Chen Yong wanted to say something but hesitated. He was a little embarrassed. Asking a student to subsidize him, this, was too embarrassing. Martial uncle, I can't lose the position of the library pavilion's curator. I'll definitely kill up to the top 100 ranking before the end of the year. Suyu said seriously, I'll avenge senior sister. That Huang Qifeng. I'll settle the score with him as well. When senior sister enters the top 100 once again, it'll be fine as long as she passes the first test. If we make up for the deficit, senior uncle shouldn't be in too much trouble, right? Chen Yong nodded slightly and glanced at Suyu again. He sighed softly and didn't say anything else. He did not know what to say. The Suyu today had exceeded his expectations too much. Suyu looked at Jing Yunhui again. Why are you still keeping it? Jing Yunhui was depressed and could not help but say, then what about Lu Hong's side? Suyu, we were prepared to scam him, but now he has taken the biggest advantage. You're not bad either. Suyu said unhappily, don't think that I don't know. Forget it. Seeing that you're injured, I don't want to argue with you. Jing Yunhui was embarrassed. Damn it, wasn't I hiding my lies? Why did it feel like everyone could see it? Lu Hong sighed, Suyu said softly, with him helping to hide it, it's good too. We can delay it for a period of time. At the very least, we'll have a growth period. Otherwise, if we're targeted by the single divine runes, they'll find out sooner or later that the things are fake. Then let's forget about it. Forget it. Suyu smiled and said, isn't it good to have someone to share the burden? But Jing Yunhui said somewhat angrily, I still feel aggrieved. This bastard even lost my heaven breaker previously. It's mine now. Suyu almost forgot about this matter. When he lost, he took it away. He did not stand on ceremony as he stood up and removed it from Jing Yunhui's body. Jing Yunhui was speechless. What was he doing? You can leave now. With the 3,000 drops of yuan qi liquid, the items you used previously, and the items you stole, you will have 20,000 merit points. No way. Jing Yunhui hurriedly defended himself. Suyu scoffed, if you didn't get as much as I did, would you be satisfied? I can tell what you are thinking with one look at a person like you. After saying that, Suyu coughed lightly and returned to his silly smile. His uncle master was here. He couldn't go too far. Seeing this smile, Zheng Yunhui seemed to see Lu Hong. He was so disgusted that he cursed in a low voice, "Don't smile at me." "Yes, I did take some, isn't that what I should do? I took the blood essence and also took the risk. But I only took 3,000 points. At this moment, this guy still had to struggle. Su Yu couldn't be bothered with him and directly waved his hand to chase him away. Of course, the merit points had to be given first. Zheng Yunhui left while cursing. Su Yu received 5,000 merit points. Chen Yong received 5,000 points and 3,000 drops of Yuan Qi liquid, worth 14,000 merit points. Chen Yong was a little embarrassed, very embarrassed. But Su Yu did not take it seriously and said with a smile, "Martial uncle, don't be like this. Su Yu, why don't you take the Yuan Qi liquid? 5,000 merit points. That's a lot." Chen Yong said seriously, "Martial uncle, your master and I did not bring you anything. Instead, we brought you a lot of trouble. There's no reason for students to subsidize their masters. Uncle master, this is called sharing the risk." Su Yu smiled and said, "Otherwise, my small arms and legs won't be able to withstand the single divine script department." Sigh. Chen Yong sighed again. He felt like a hero with short ambitions. Zheng Yunhui took quite a lot, do you really not care? He will give you more points just now. Don't look for him. Su Yu smiled and said, Zheng Yunhui also has to take the risk. The blood essence that he took out, may not even be able to be taken out. Oh. Chen Yong was slightly startled. Su Yu explained, this time, it was said to be a secret transaction, but in reality, it caused a commotion. Many people know about it. How could the Academy not know about it? According to the Academy's usual principles, the bigger the deal, the better. For such a big transaction, it might be targeted by them. That's why I asked Uncle Master to escort him, so that he wouldn't be swept away as soon as he came out. As he said that, he added, of course, the possibility of that isn't high either. The deal is already over, and he's still taking what belongs to his own family. The Academy might not have any reason to find trouble with him. He didn't really care about this. Whatever happened to Zheng Yunhui had nothing to do with him. At that moment, Su Yu gritted his teeth and said, Lu Hong is the one who is detestable. He didn't even use a single bit of his strength. He just opened his mouth and took away the big head. Zheng Yunhui and I fought to the death. He just sat there and watched the show, and then came to reap the harvest, in his dreams. Chen Yong sighed and said, there's nothing we can do about him unless your master challenges him. Even if he wins, there won't be much benefit. Even if you report him. It's useless. I've said it before, the Divine Language Department alone won't believe that the information we gave them is fake. Su Yu nodded. I'm not going to report him either. It's meaningless, and he even exposed us in advance. I'm going to repay him for not exposing our kindness. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 454, Too Many Pitfalls, Asking for a Monthly 3. Chapter 454, Chapter 126, Too Many Pitfalls, Asking for a Monthly, Oh. Chen Yong could not understand what his martial nephew meant. Su Yu smiled and said, didn't I earn 5,000 merit points? I'm going to return Lin Yao's 300 merit points to him. In addition, I'm going to look for Lu He and try to get close to him. I'm going to give him 1,000 merit points and another 1,000 merit points as a red packet for Assistant Lu. Su Yu sighed, without him, I won't be able to get a single cent. I have to thank him properly. I'll keep some for myself. As for the rest, I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him in a big show, of course, this is under the circumstances where he doesn't know his place. Su Yu gritted his teeth and said, if he doesn't spit some out, I'll kneel in front of his office and call him my benefactor. Uncle Master, remember to help me explain to my teacher that I might have to betray my sect. Assistant Teacher Lu is too good to me. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. I have to thank him. Chen Yong was in a daze. Downstairs. Unintentionally, Jia Mingjun, who was passing by, felt an itch in his throat and coughed softly. Damn it, we're outdated. There are actually so many tricks that we don't know about. This is a trap. The information was fake. Lu Hong could tell that Jin Yunhui had blacklisted 10,000 merit points. Su Yu. He wanted to acknowledge Lu Hong as his teacher. Jia Mingjun felt that he had really fallen behind. Su Yu went to acknowledge Lu He as his teacher, to curry favor with him, to send money, to return merit points. Damn it! Would Lu Hong dare to take it? Would he dare to take it? The first step was that the single God text department had paid 80,000 merit points, and the second step was that Su Yu, who had sold the information, had defected to Lu Hong. Then, where did the merit points go? On Su Yu. Then, you defected to the single God text department, where were the merit points? Why did he give you so many merit points? It was already good enough to give you a few thousand points, but you had to spit out the rest. Lu Hong had no choice but to agree. Moreover, once the information was verified to be fake, it would be useless no matter how Lu Hong tried to shift the blame. You're F***king with Su Yu. Young people are becoming more and more terrifying. Jia Mingjun muttered and turned around to leave. There was no need to continue listening. After all, there was nothing good about today's matter. From the beginning to the end, it was a bunch of liars who were lying to me, I was lying to you. In the dojo. Lu Hong felt a little uncomfortable. What was wrong? He didn't feel wrong. Why did he feel a little uneasy? In the room. Chen Yong also thought of many things and couldn't help but say, if that's the case, once the news spreads, then you'll be in trouble too. It's fine. Lu Hong won't let the news spread. Su Yu gritted his teeth and said, he swallowed so much. Is he willing to let it go? Once it spreads, we are already opponents anyway, it's nothing, he will really be finished. Not only will he have to spit out what he swallowed, he will also have to bear the wrath of the single divine text faction. His situation is much more difficult than ours. Does he think that I will report him? Su Yu smiled foolishly and said, I am a good person, an honest person, I will not treat our benefactor like this. Benefactor, I will repay you with gushing spring. In the future, when we meet, I will kowtow to him to greet him. Chen Yong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If you kowtow to greet him when they meet, Lu Hong probably really wanted to die. You made a genius from the Divine Literature Department treat you so respectfully, what situation was this? Even a fool would know that there was a problem. Even if there was no problem, he would still have to create some problems. Looking at his martial nephew's simple and honest smile, Chen Yong was speechless. After a long while, he said, Martial uncle is old, and he doesn't like to do this. Other than a little bit of strength, there doesn't seem to be anything else. If you really encounter any trouble, come and look for Martial uncle. I will. Thank you, Martial uncle. Su Yu called out innocently with a smile on his face. His smile made Chen Yong feel a little uncomfortable. Now that he saw his martial nephew's smile, he felt a little awkward. After saying that, Su Yu stood up and said, Martial uncle, there's no time to lose. Please tell me where Benefactor Lu's address is. I'll go to his house to take a look first. If it doesn't work, I'll go look for Lu He later and send him 1,000 merit points to express my gratitude. Chen Yong's heart was tired. Forget it, you guys can go ahead. Young people, it's better to go ahead and go ahead. After telling Su Yu his address, Chen Yong was still a little uncertain as he said, will something happen to Jin Yunhui? I don't know. Su Yu was indifferent. The cooperation was already over, so who cares? With that said, he said again, even if his blood essence can be preserved, I suspect that even the yuan qi liquid cannot be preserved. Where did a few thousand drops of yuan qi liquid come from? Where did it come from? Senior uncle, you have to be more careful. Merit points can still be said to be borrowed, but others have returned it. Yuan qi liquid, who borrowed it, who returned it? There has to be a source for this thing. Chen Yong muttered, the academy isn't that shady, right? Su Yu was speechless. No. Senior uncle has been in the academy for so many years, why does it feel like he doesn't understand it as clearly as I do? How dark. Xia Huyo could tell that the black market had been wiped out, and the opening bid had been wiped out. As long as the academy caught a loophole, there was no discussion about wiping you out. Let's not talk about him anymore, Uncle Master. I'll take my leave first. Su Yu couldn't be bothered with him. He said goodbye to Chen Yong and left immediately. He had to go pay his respects to his benefactor. Lu Hong, my great benefactor. If you don't give me some today, I'll find a carpenter tomorrow and carve a plaque for you. On the wall, how many benefactors of the Divine Literature Department? Damn it, your heart is too black. If you want to eat the big head, won't I be beaten up for nothing? The Recuperation Garden. Zheng Yunhui's vision went black. After an unknown amount of time, he crawled up from the grass and touched his body. Suddenly, he cursed, beast. In broad daylight, you even robbed students. He is simply inhuman. I want to report to the academy that someone is robbing the Nature Conservation Garden. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 455, Too Many Pitfalls, Asking for a Monthly 4. Chapter 455, Chapter 126 Too Many Pitfalls, Asking for a Monthly 4. Zheng Yunhui cursed and cursed for a while. Then, he turned around and walked out of the school angrily. I want to go home. I'm finished. I lost the item. I don't know if I can buy it with 3,000 drops of yuan qi liquid. I have to return it as soon as possible. Zheng Yunhui looked like he was about to cry as he muttered, I'm finished. Grandpa will beat me to death if he finds out. What should we do now? The academy dares to rob me so brazenly. Zheng Yunhui gritted his teeth. Other than those few people, there was no one else. After being robbed, there was no response even after a few roars. He was not stupid. He knew clearly who did this. Damn it. I did not expect you to be so shameless. Grandpa was right to scold you. No wonder he scolded you every day. You are so bad. It would be strange if he did not scold you. Zheng Yunhui ran out of the academy quickly. Fortunately, he had the yuan qi liquid and merit points. That person probably didn't like him. He lost his blood essence. After leaving the academy, a Lingyun realm powerhouse took Zheng Yunhui away. In the heart cultivation pavilion, Wan Tianxing rubbed his chin and felt that something was wrong. The newcomers in the academy were a little confused. Opening the bottle, his blood and qi surged. A drop of blood essence flew out. Wan Tianxing's expression changed slightly, and in the next moment, a laugh came out of his blood. Ha ha ha, F***ck your grandpa, I knew you weren't something. I'll make a fool of you. Boom. A loud sound rang out. The top floor of the Heart Cultivation Pavilion exploded. Not all of it exploded, but a portion. Wan Tianxing's willpower burst out, enveloping the Heart Cultivation Pavilion. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 mountain and sea realm experts flew over. Manor Head. What's wrong? Everyone was shocked. What had happened? Wan Tianxing opened the window from the top floor and said calmly, It's nothing. I'm just doing a small experiment. Don't make a fuss. Manor Head, Why do I feel like I heard old Ghost Zheng's voice? I heard it wrong. Wan Tianxing said calmly, I'm currently experimenting with the phonograph divine text. All sorts of sounds are being mixed together. Perhaps there's old Ghost Zheng's voice. Everyone looked at each other. Was this how it was? That was true. Old Ghost Zheng was still in Zhangjing College. How could he be here? This was the Heart Cultivation Pavilion. They did not ask any further. It was normal for the experiment to go wrong. It was just that when they heard old Ghost Zheng's voice just now, they thought that old Ghost Zheng had come knocking on their door. Close the window. Myriad Heaven Sage was still holding a few drops of blood essence in his hand. A surging power. But this power. F***ck, it was not some god and devil blood essence. This was a blood bomb that old Ghost Zheng had condensed himself. Bastard. Wan Tianxing gritted his teeth. I've been a wild goose for my entire life and beat old Ghost Zheng for my entire life, but I was actually tricked by that stupid grandson of his. No. Jing Yunhui. Wan Tianxing suddenly laughed. Interesting, there's even a wondrous person in the old Jing family. You thought that he was just a little clever, but he told you that he had great wisdom. He had been waiting for you for a long time. No wonder he got up, cursed a few times, and ran away. Are you afraid that I will take the rest of your things? At this moment. In a large courtyard in Zhangjing College, a strong man sensed something and suddenly burst out laughing crazily. Ha ha ha. Wan Tianxing, you son of a b***tch also have such a day. Ha ha ha, my good grandson, you really F***king predicted it. Old Zheng's family is blessed. Zheng Ping laughed maniacally. I've lost your whole life. Isn't this fun? I'll blow you up, you son of a bitch. It's not a waste of my time and effort to make that thing. Zheng Ping laughed loudly, feeling extremely happy. This grandson of mine, is 2F***king amazing. Ha ha ha, my blood, is it not fragrant compared to the blood of the celestial race? Where is the blood of the peak of the mountain and sea? The brawny man was dancing with excitement. The blood of the peak of the mountain and sea, was it fragrant? It would be better if it exploded to death. Of course, he knew that it was just a dream. However, it was also good to make the myriad heaven saints' face dirty. This shameless person actually had designs on the blood essence of the old Jing family. When he thought of that obedient grandson of his, Zheng Ping was so happy that he could not close his mouth. How could the old Jing family have such a talent? His father is so stupid that he doesn't even look like his father, he has inherited some of my intelligence and wisdom. Zheng Ping was overjoyed. It was an intergenerational marriage. Not far away, a middle-aged man glanced at his father who had gone crazy in the courtyard and sighed in his heart. Father, it's been decades, and you've only taken such a small advantage once. Is there a need for you to be like this? No wonder Wan Tianxing looked down on you, but, it also proved that his father had been tortured too badly by Wan Tianxing. Look, he had only taken advantage once, and it was still a small advantage. He was so happy. That's because my son is smart, what does it have to do with you? The middle-aged man no longer paid attention to his father. It seemed that his son had taken advantage of him again. He did not know who had suffered a loss. If the old Jing family wants to make a comeback, it will have to depend on my son. The middle-aged man also laughed foolishly for a while. Like son, like father. It was better for him to be taught by his father. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 456, Winners Were All Aggrieved Subscription 1. Chapter 456, Chapter 127 Winners Were All Aggrieved Subscription 1. Nature Garden. Su Yu did not rush to look for Lu Hong. Instead, he looked for another person, Lin Yao. Student Lin Yao. Su Yu looked at Lin Yao, who had fallen into a daze after opening the door. With a smile on his face, he said sincerely, "I came here today to apologize to you." Lin Yao was completely stunned. Did something happen today? Did the sun rise from the west? Su Yu came to apologize to him. Su Yu said softly, "These past few days, I've been tossing and turning, and I couldn't sleep at all. That day, I shouldn't have humiliated Brother Lin like that. I already know that Brother Lin was really framed that day. It was Chen Qi who did it." Lin Yao's expression changed. He gritted his teeth and said, "It's him. Su Yu, that bastard Chen Qi deserves to die." However, he still did not understand what Su Yu was trying to do. Su Yu took out the remaining materials in his hands. He said sincerely, "Last time, I won 300 merit points from Brother Lin. I've used up most of my merit points. Although these things are not worth 300 merit points, they can still be compensated a little." Lin Yao was stunned. What was going on? Until now, he still had a dumbfounded expression. Su Yu said seriously, "It's better to resolve the enmity than to form it. Do I have a deep hatred with Brother Lin?" Lin Yao shook his head. "Is there a hurdle that can't be overcome?" Su Yu said softly, "A single divine text, many divine texts. Those are the disputes of the older generation. What is the biggest goal of us newbies entering the school? To become stronger. Only by becoming stronger is our ultimate goal. Then tell me, if we form a deep hatred between the two of us, what will we obtain from each other?" Lin Yao was at a loss for words. He looked at the things that Su Yu took out. There were all sorts of things. However, Lin Yao was quite knowledgeable. After a rough look, he saw that there were at least 100 to 200 merit points. It was not a small amount. Su Yu's family was not rich. Although he earned quite a lot last time, to cultivators, no amount of merit points was enough. It was not easy to take out so many things. A sincere apology. It was not the kind of empty words. Lin Yao was a little embarrassed, but also a little uneasy. He could not help but say, "Su Yu, just say it. What do you want?" Su Yu wanted to say something, but he hesitated. After a long while, he said, "I want to see Teacher Lu once. I'm just a student. Don't trick me again." Su Yu smiled bitterly and said, "I don't want to be the class monitor anymore. I'm too tired. I don't even have time to cultivate recently. But no one recommended me. If I rashly visit, Teacher Lu will probably ignore me. After all, the last time I gave you face, he probably won't treat me well either." Su Yu said sincerely, "I originally wanted to ask Lu He for a favor, but that person doesn't think much of me. It's not good for me to humiliate myself. These days, I have some understanding of Brother Lin. In essence, you are the same as me. You work hard to become stronger. The Mountain Destroyer Bull Essence blood last time was also to become stronger. We are the same kind of people, so I feel that Brother Lin can understand me." Lin Yao understood when he heard that. At the same time, he sighed and looked at Su Yu with some sympathy. He sighed lightly and said, "Yes, the goal is to become stronger. Factions fight to the death, you fight with me, I suppress you. Even if it's just the Divine Text Department, the internal affairs are also a mess." He really sighed a little. His teacher had been suppressed by others. He had also been cheated by Chen Qi previously. Of course, he had received the news beforehand. Even the internal faction was fighting, let alone the external faction. Su Yu's multi-divine language faction was really miserable. Sympathy was sympathy, but Lin Yao still frowned and said, "I'll bring you to visit your teacher." "This isn't good, teacher will blame me." Su Yu felt helpless. "That won't happen. I don't need Brother Lin to speak on my behalf. I only need to tell Teacher Lu that I have apologized to you and even compensated you for your losses. Teacher Lu is a magnanimous person, he won't hold a grudge against a mere student like me. After saying that, Su Yu raised the item in his hand once more. It was worth 1 to 200 merit points. And it was something that he bought in front of Zhou Pingsheng and many others. You took it, you took it. Everyone knew that Su Yu had taken it away. Just accept it. Lin Yao looked at Su Yu and saw his helpless expression. He couldn't help but say, actually, being class monitor isn't a big deal. At most, I can just fool him. Brother Lin, of course you can, but I can't. I've offended Brother Lin. In Teacher Lu's eyes, I'm not giving him face. How can a student like me lose face? Su Yu gritted his teeth. Brother Lin, bring me over. I'll kowtow to Teacher Lu to apologize. These words were serious. Lin Yao understood that to a genius, kowtowing to apologize was harder than killing him. If it were him, would he do it? Absolutely not. Su Yu. Lin Yao still had the arrogance and bearing of a scion of an aristocratic family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken out 300 merit points to directly give to Su Yu. After all, he didn't participate in the match. Originally, he still hated Su Yu. At this moment, he suddenly felt a sense of sorrow. A genius was forced into a dead end just like that. It was really too difficult to survive in the academy. Forget about the item, I don't. Su Yu hurriedly said, you must accept the item. I know it's not enough. There's still a little more. I'll give it to you next time. No one's merit points came from the strong winds. We did not compete last time. How can I take your 300 merit points? Su Yu said seriously, I won't return Chin Chi's. That person has an evil heart. He even schemed against people from the same branch. I don't think much of him. But Brother Lin, I misunderstood you before. Now, I know a little about you. Although I come from an aristocratic family and am a little arrogant, I can understand that, but he has a good heart. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 457, the winner of Chapter 127 was sullen subscription 2. Chapter 457, the winner of Chapter 127 was sullen subscription 2. Su Yu sighed, I still remember that the first time we met, you were willing to pay for it with merit points. You didn't force me. I was narrow-minded and deliberately let you fight with me. It was my fault. Lin Yao was embarrassed by what he said. That. I shouldn't have been like this at that time. Lin Yao said awkwardly, to be honest, I thought that your talent was not as good as mine at the beginning. It was really a waste to give you the mountain-breaking bull essence blood. It's not that I look down on others, but it's the truth. Good things should be given to geniuses. Lin Yao exhaled and said, but later, I knew that your talent was extraordinary. I turned around and thought, if you have talent, why can't you use the mountain-breaking bull essence blood? You also needed it urgently. I was too reckless. As Lin Yao spoke, he said awkwardly, in fact, after you defeated Chin Chi, I understood that having someone like you was the motivation for me to move up. The matter of enmity is not that serious. At most, I want to defeat Brother Su to prove myself. Teacher also told me that I treat you as my goal. Winning first may not necessarily win. Lin Yao smiled and said, so recently, I feel that I have the motivation to cultivate. I'm almost at the critical moment. When Su Yu heard that, he smiled and said, it's best if you can resolve the misunderstanding. Brother Lin, you're so reasonable. It's also beyond my expectations. I thought, you would chase me away. How could I? Lin Yao laughed and said, I'm a little flattered that the great genius Su came to apologize to me. How about this, it's inconvenient during the day. After all, people come and go, and teachers may not be here. Tonight, I'll go with you. Thank you, Brother Lin. Su Yu hurriedly thanked him and handed the item over. Lin Yao said with a straight face, "Brother Su, are you looking down on me?" "No." Su Yu shook his head and said, "I know what you mean, but even if you don't care, what does Teacher Lu think? I still want to trouble Brother Lin. Can I bring it with me tonight?" He said awkwardly, "I'm just showing it to Teacher Lu. There's no need to explain it specifically, so as not to make it awkward. Teacher Lu is a smart person. He knows what I mean with just one look. Otherwise, he would think that I, Su Yu, am just saying it with my mouth and not taking any action. That would be awkward." "That's true." Lin Yao thought for a moment, he smiled and said, "Then I'll accept it. Indeed, I don't care, but teacher still cares about face. Alright, then I'll bring it with me tonight and show it to teacher. You, Su Yu, really want to apologize to him. I don't think teacher will specifically target you." After saying that, he said with some seriousness, "Brother Su, there's something I don't know if I should say." "Go ahead." The multi-god literature department was very strong in the past, but now, it's really declining. Lin Yao said seriously, "On the side of the academy, the single-god literature department and the multi-god literature department have been fighting for many years. I'm not advising Brother Su to switch to another department. I'm just reminding Brother Su not to get involved. For example, for some of the people on the top 100 list, Brother Su can still avoid them if he can." Su Yu nodded and sighed, "Thank you for the reminder. I actually don't want to do this. I just want to cultivate in peace, but..." Sigh. He sighed with endless sorrow. So what if he was talented? So what if he improved quickly? How could he avoid these disputes in this big dye vat? At this moment, Lin Yao suddenly felt lucky. He was lucky that he was a single divine prose department and was on the strong side. Even if there were some struggles, it would not be as difficult as Su Yu's. Su Yu was too difficult. On one side was the faction struggle, on the other side was the lack of resources, on the other side was the suppression of the strong, and on the other side was the compromise. Without a strong backer, without sufficient resources, without a rich family background. At this moment, he could not bear to take the things that Su Yu sent over. Thinking of bringing Su Yu to visit his teacher at night, Su Yu still had to bow and scrape. After Su Yu left, Lin Yao looked at his sorrowful figure and suddenly muttered, "No matter how talented you are, you still have to submit to reality, the sorrow of a genius." It was not worth it for him. A moment of silence for him. At this moment, some of the resentment from before vanished into thin air. Seeing a stronger and more talented person submit to him and submit to reality, he felt a little dispirited. This damned reality, can't a genius cultivate and become stronger? With a bang, the door closed as if he was venting his dissatisfaction with reality. Today was Su Yu. When his teacher lost, what about himself? He seemed to have seen himself tomorrow. "Teacher, you can't lose." At night. In the teacher's residential area. It was already dark. On the road. Su Yu said worriedly, "Brother Lin, is it not appropriate for me to come here empty-handed?" "It's fine. Teacher isn't a stingy person. Moreover, it's even more inappropriate for students to bring gifts when they visit teacher." Lin Yao said seriously, "Teacher is the chief instructor of the new students. In fact, he's our divine arts enlightenment teacher. You coming to visit him is a serious visit. Brother Su, don't think too much." "But... Brother Su, I've never seen you so indecisive before." Lin Yao teased, "Last time, you said, trash, you're worthy to compete with me, how overbearing. Why? Are you really overwhelmed? Don't feel too much pressure." Su Yu nodded, took a deep breath, and straightened his body. "Brother Lin, thank you." "You're welcome. It's nothing. Did you say hello to Lu?"